From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you. It is 7 minutes past the hour. Thanks for waking up early in the morning. And let me get some pleasantries out of the way, and then we got some pretty tough stuff to cover. Because I don't know about you, but I'm sick and tired of illegal aliens. And I don't care what MSNBC and all these other dopes. We have people being killed and raped, tortured. It's unbelievable. And you have these maniacs in the Democrat media. We don't say illegal. Oh, you don't? Well, screw you. But we'll get to that. The positive news, our 17th annual Hurley in the Morning Charity Golf Open was perfect. The weather was perfect. Our team delivered, and Linwood Country Club delivered beautifully. An absolutely spectacular day. Mayor Kane, who will be here today in the fourth quarter, he'll be able to attest to it, and we'll hold most of our comments until then. But thank you to all who contributed, and I'm already looking forward, already thinking about what will next year's colors be. I think I'm going to give Margie the call. I believe she wants, we sort of own hunter green as a color that we used for a number of years in the early years of our charity golf open. And I think Margie may want to go back to hunter green again, which I'm fine with. This year was a royal blue. It was beautiful. Last year was red, cherry red, ditto, beautiful. The year before that, orange. Full disclosure, it was during the throes of the pandemic, and we have a great supplier, and they said, hey, if you want to match everything, your bags, your tea packs, the towels, if I didn't say the T-shirts, really the only color we can do is orange. And I have to say, it wouldn't be my first choice ever. Orange is never like a top choice of mine, but it was beautiful. And there were a number of people that said it's my favorite color. And so, we did purple the year before that. I don't even know how I remember this, but it's true. And looks like, well, we'll see. Margie's going to make the call. She doesn't know that yet, but she probably knows it now. Another pleasantry, and my goodness, if penmanship was the grade here, my gosh, Kitty Hawk. And I now, for the first time ever, I don't believe I've ever known. Imagine you've talked to someone for 32 years. And they've been a big part of this program. And I never knew the person's real name until this morning. Because a beautiful card, what I'm getting at about the handwriting, I mean, calligraphy, you'd pay somebody. You would pay somebody to write your wedding invitations in this handwriting. Kitty Hawk, I know that you either listen or if you oversleep, you have confessed to me that you listen to the podcast every day. What an honor that is. Let me read this card to you. So I open it up. It's very heavy stock. So that was cool. The envelope is very thick, and the card is inside, and it says, "Making your birthday great again!" ! And a beaming, smiling, no teeth, just with the lips. You can smile like that. Trump does both. Got very pearly white teeth. He's showing his teeth more, which I think is smart. It's a softer side. I think it's good. And he never gives up his manliness, so it doesn't matter if you do something like that. I think it's good. And so he's got this nice smile on his face, a little peek of his red tie, white shirt, blue sport jacket. I should say suit jacket. You'll never see Trump in a sport coat. Always a suit. It's dated June 16th. I received it this morning. Wishing you a fantastic, dear Harry, wishing you a fantastic 64th birthday. I'd like to thank your parents for raising you and your siblings the right way. I've been a fan of talk radio since the early 80s, when I only had an AM radio in my car and worked rotating shifts at ACMC, City Division. I retired 1 year ago, and one of the huge benefits is getting to listen to your show every day. And if I get up later than your 6 a.m. start time, I go back and listen to what I missed on the WPG app, which I tell you to do all the time, ladies and gentlemen. It's there. The show is the podcast. The podcast is the show. I've listened to more radio. I can't read this word. Hold on. More radio hosts than I can remember, with my all-time favorite host being Rush Limbaugh. I was so saddened and devastated with his passing and struggled to find another radio host half as compelling as Rush. But that has all changed now that I regularly listen to you, Harry. You give me, as a listener, information I do not hear anywhere else. I enjoy your style, humor, honest debates, and I feel hopeful all is not lost in America, yet due to your optimism. So thank you for all you do, and may God allow you to continue your show as long as you'd like to be on the radio. Best regards, and first time ever, first and last name. It's also on the sticker on the outside. I've known this person as Kitty Hawk, as in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, for 32 years. So I guess I could say a first name. I like to always protect the innocent. I won't say the last name, and I won't say where she lives. Nancy, thank you. This card means a whole lot to me, and it's a keeper. And I'm putting it in my briefcase right now. What an honor to receive that. And, you know, the interesting thing, I just said to my son yesterday that on July 1st, I will have been doing this for half of my lifetime, and still at the same station that we started at. That, I'm telling you, is like a unicorn sighting. It's almost unheard of. And I believe that because of the country we now live in, longevity is going to be something that will be very, very rare. You know, if you think about where the societal evolution, where it's heading, like a Derek Jeter playing, I think he played exactly 20 seasons, all for the New York Yankees, you're hardly ever going to see something like that ever again. There's a lack of a lot of things, including loyalty. And loyalty, of course, is a two-way street. Loyalty shouldn't be something that just one person gives and other people expect. It should be something that is equally shared. That an employer, whether it's the New York Yankees or wherever, and the employee have an understanding, a mutual agreement, that through thick and thin, and I remind you, Derek Jeter got treated like crap at the end. He got offered a garbage contract at the end. And I say garbage, you know, you would love that garbage contract. But he was not paid what he deserves. And it was not right. It's the captain of their team, face of the team. And I remind you, and if you've forgotten about it, you can go back and check. And look, they did the same thing, the Yankees, to Joe Torre. I boycotted the Yankees. Sometimes I forget about that. And this is, my God, I since a child, the Yankees were the only baseball team that I loved, if you can love an inanimate object. And for the season after they unceremoniously treated Joe Torre like garbage. And I knew it'd be 5 minutes later and he'd have a job. And he's the one that brought Chuck Malamut's team, the Dodgers. He brought them back to prominence. They were not a playoff team when Joe Torre took them over. And instantly, because he is one of the greatest managers in the history of baseball, he was a great player, great catcher, smart. Catchers are smart. They're like the quarterback of the team. They call the game. Torre was an incredible hitter for both average and for power. Just a great player, great baseball mind. And one of the great privileges of my career was meeting Joe Torre and interviewing Joe Torre briefly. I got a few questions in. Pictures to prove it. And he was treated very, very bad. Loyalty is in rare supply. We talk about that all the time. Where you have it in friendships, in other whatever professional relationships, wherever it may be, wherever you have it. How many times have you heard me say, hold it very tightly and don't let it go? Don't take it for granted. Do your part and don't let it go. Don't break it. Because it's something that rarely exists anymore. I mean, I'm serious about this. I pinch myself, and it is surreal to me that we've been able to do this. Think about that. Every day for 32 years, we are together. I don't take that for granted for 1 minute. I never have, and I never will. See, I think the moment you take something for granted and you mail it in, or you believe that you're entitled or that you've earned it or whatever, I always treat it like I'm on 90-day probation. And at the end of 90 days, you can just get the heave-ho. Take nothing for granted. Probably one of the great life lessons that you can learn. Appreciate what you have. Brief time out. We'll be right back. When we come back, I said we're going to have some tough stuff. I'm going to begin with that coming up. Also, programming note, you'll have to come and find me. It's not like a scavenger hunt, but you'll have to find me. I will be hosting nationally today. That's all I can say about that. And then tomorrow, I can tell you this. I will be guest hosting the Brian Kilmeade Show right here on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and all throughout America. We'll be right back. It's 20 minutes past the hour, and I am Hurley in the Morning.
You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning.
Egg Harbor Township, Ocean City,
Brigantine,
Mays Landing.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Fox News commentary.
Tennessee moves forward with the death penalty for convicted child rapists, as it should be. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Donald Trump Jr. here. Since January of 2021, the cost of living has increased by 17.9%. You can't get that money back, but you can stop your losses by diversifying into a gold IRA from my friends at Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. That's SHELTER to the number 989898 to get your free info kit from Birch Gold now.
Message and data rates may apply.
My state of Tennessee has approved legislation to greenlight the death penalty for those convicted of child rape. Our Republican-led state legislator made it a point to advance this legislation to send a message to child predators they will not be coddled in the volunteer state. The law goes into effect July 1st and not a moment too soon. The great state of Florida and Governor Ron DeSantis approved a similar bill almost a year ago, but all red states should follow suit. If you're convicted of preying on children, the most innocent among us, us, your life should be on the line. You know, California might protect and shield pedophiles and sexual predators, but that doesn't fly in our great red states. So good for Tennessee, good for Florida, and let's hope all conservative states follow suit. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hurley in the morning.
Harry Hurley is the only person on the radio who isn't afraid to speak the truth about what's really happening in Atlantic City.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
That man speaks the truth. Welcome back. 25 minutes past the hour. Well, if this doesn't get your blood boiling, and I apologize, it's hot enough out. I don't want to get your blood boiling at 25 minutes past 6 a.m. Eastern time, but this really got me. I can't even tell you. Already, I am just twisted over the murder of Rachel Morin, the young mom of 5, Jocelyn Nungare, the 12-year-old girl, and the White House statements on both, just absolutely disgraceful. This shameful, disgusting administration. They've got to be fired in the next 4 months. They've got to be fired. Check this one out. Dateline, North Carolina. 5 men approached a family in their garage, forced them into their home, and, quote, put a knife and fork on top of the stove and heated it up and tortured this family. The family of 5 was robbed. They were attacked. Now, there's nothing in any coverage that I have heard whether these are illegals or not, which tends to tell me that it is, but I don't know. I do know this, that at around 2 a.m. local time on Saturday, June 15, a family in western Harnett County, North Carolina, was sitting in their garage when the door opened with a group of 5 men forcing them into their home. The men assaulted the family before stealing things, and the Sheriff Wayne Coates was speaking to WRAL and told them that, quote, the 5 men tied up the family with duct tape and began to torture them, putting a, quote, knife and fork on top of their stove to heat up the metal and to, quote, stick it to their bodies of the family members. Quote, they were trying to get them to tell them where their money and guns were. Coates said, adding, there were no guns at the home. The suspects stole personal items, multiple personal items, ransacked the home, assaulted the children, and I don't know what that means. Sexually assaulted them, physically assaulted them. I want to say that for some reason I lean towards they were physically assaulted, but I don't know because they're not saying. And then they stole 2 vehicles, according to WRAL, which has had a lot of coverage on this. The men drove away in their own silver or gray Dodge Challenger. The family is still missing a gray 4-door Honda Accord. The Harnett County Sheriff's Office did not immediately respond to media requests for more information. Yesterday, a GoFundMe page for the family that's been shared by WRAL and reportedly organized by the sister of one of the victims has since raised, and this is hours old, more than $13,000 of a $15,000 goal. In the fundraising page's description, Morales Scott, it's hyphenated, wrote that, quote, words cannot describe the pain and devastation that our family is experiencing right now. She wrote that, quote, masked intruders assaulted her sister, brother-in-law, and young children, adding that their entire house was ransacked and the family is now suffering physically, emotionally, and mentally. Our extended family and close friends are devastated. Their home was vandalized, and their peace of mind and safety will never feel the same. The GoFundMe page and campaign is aimed to raise money to cover healthcare costs, replace stolen items, and provide additional support for her family's, for her sister's family. We are asking for your prayers, words of encouragement, your empathy, and to please respect our family's privacy during this difficult time. Jeffrey Miller, who lives 2 doors down from the family and has lived in the neighborhood for 16 years, told WRAL that he, quote, thought nothing like that would ever happen. How about that? This is the kind. I'm not saying bad things didn't happen before, but this is the country we now live in, and we have a president that does nothing about it except he keeps letting more and more illegals into our country. And if you think, Trump is right, he gets a lot of grief when he talks about, hey, they're emptying their prisons. That's what they do. These other countries, when they see weakness, there's no country in the history of the world that's ever let people just walk in the way this ass clown Biden has done. That's the nicest thing I can call him right now. He's got to be fired. This country cannot survive. I mean that. We cannot. You've never heard me say that before. I've said we're at critical tipping points. I've never said definitive things like we cannot survive 4 more years of Joe Biden. Just imagine. Look what he's doing now with all this illegal stuff. Trump better crush him on Thursday night with this stuff. And here's the part that's just unbelievable to me. Biden doesn't call these families. And you know why he doesn't? Because he can't. He's not equipped to have the conversation. He doesn't have the mental acuity to have the conversation. And his policies are undeniably responsible for their loss. These people are butchering, killing, raping, assaulting our men, our women, and our children. And I heard the mom of Rachel Morin, Biden, she says, I don't want to be political, but no, he's never called. And they all make it clear. They never reach out to these families. How can you not reach out to them and just share your condolences? And is there anything that we can do? But they can't because they know they're going to get ripped. And then it'll become public. So they do the worst thing you can do, the cowardly thing, the disgraceful thing. They do nothing. And they let these families suffer. And then we got to listen to Joe Biden say, I'll work with anyone of good faith. I want to fix these problems. What a liar. No, sir. You don't want to fix this. This is your plan. Your plan is a illegal immigration invasion of our country. And for these people to become voters, whether they vote as illegals or they become citizens and they get to vote. And guess what? A big, big number, more than 500,000, and that'll be, look, Joe Biden's paying college stuff off when the Supreme Court said no. These illegals are going to be getting Social Security, which means yours is at risk. All you seasoned citizens, you better wake up. You better understand. Oh, I voted Democrat my whole life. Yeah? You better wake up if you haven't. These illegals are going to be getting Social Security, Medicare, and a whole lot more. They already do. I hope Trump says it. I'll celebrate it if he does. Ask the question. Quote Ronald Reagan to Jimmy Carter. Remind the American people that just like when we made change then, we must make change now. We have to. Quote Reagan, who said to America, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? And then Trump should answer that question because there's nobody, this is all rigged, no audience, because Biden can't engage with real people. The whole thing's a setup. Trump's going to win anyhow. Then Trump needs to say the only people that are better off now in America 4 years later under Joe Biden, the only people that are better off are illegals. And everybody listening, you know that's true. Only illegals in America are better off now than they were 4 years ago. What a record of accomplishment that is.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Thank you, Harry Hurley. At 35 minutes past the hour, I have so many stories, more than 3. I've written probably 12 since the weekend. Here's 3, though. Our favorite lobster meals in the Atlantic City area. Yum. Check them out. Oh, such a good piece. Before casinos in Atlantic City, there were these great restaurants, and PBS Television is doing a television program about Eddie and the Cruisers, the movie.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. We could still see a sprinkle through about mid to late morning as our frontal boundary exits the coast, but nothing like the powerful storms that rolled in yesterday. Partly to mostly sunny skies today, turning windy and much less humid. High temperature 85 this afternoon. Clearing comfortable tonight, low of 65. And for tomorrow, mostly sunny as we start to warm up again. Tomorrow's high back to 90. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today. Here is an important safety.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. For complete contest rules, visit WPGTalkRadio.com. Hurley in the morning.
They always have great conversation.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
You know, I mentioned, and I can't tell you where, but I mentioned that we're working nationally. And then tomorrow I can mention that I'm guest hosting the Brian Kilmeade Show tomorrow. I don't have that guest lineup yet, but let me share with you what we're doing today. Miranda Devine, Tommy Lahren, Congresswoman Salazar of Florida, who is absolutely awesome, and Liz Peek, ditto. Quite late afternoon into Hurley evening tonight that I will be having with some incredible guests and conducting some awesome long-form interviews. Let me tell you what did not escape me this past Saturday night. What a contrast. What a great contrast. President Trump in Philadelphia and Joe Biden hiding at Camp David. In hiding. And when President Trump, and I wrote it down, when he said, "Oh, I'm really looking forward to Thursday night and the debate," he said, quote, unquote, "I say he," meaning Biden, "comes out all jacked up." He's expecting what I was talking about last week. I said the wide eyes that don't blink. Come on. You've seen it. This guy goes from cadaver to, like, I don't even know what to call it. Eyes that are just, like, big as saucers that don't blink. He goes from Squinty Joe. So let's see who shows up. And again, I don't know what happens. I agree with Trump. I know what Trump is saying. Quote, I say he, quote, comes out all jacked up. Trump said in Philadelphia, I forget exactly how he worded it, but forgive me, the word ass was involved. And he said, yeah, he's gonna get jabbed in the ass. I think that was the quote. So who knows? I don't know. I don't play those games. I know it when I see it. You know the old expression? I don't know how to describe it, but I know it when I see it. Come on. Just be honest. And look, I'm not saying like the guy that did the State of the Union address, or maybe the guy that may show up this Thursday night. Do you understand over the weekend it was getting leaked out? And this is why I think they're really trying to replace him. Because there's only a handful of people that could leak this. But they wanted it to get out, that Joe Biden has to practice to stand for 90 minutes. I mean, this is truly just incredible what's going on. When we come back from the break, there is yet more new polling data. This, I believe, is very significant because it's with all of the federal conviction, 34 counts conviction, all baked in. And it's really good news for President Trump. I'll share it with you next. It's 45 minutes past the hour on the Hurley in the Morning program.
You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning.
I'm looking for trustworthy news.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're listening to Hurley in the Morning on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio. You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning.
Brigantine.
Mays Landing.
EHT.
Ocean City.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5, South Jersey's talk station.
Thank you. This hour has absolutely flown by, and I cannot wait for the upcoming next hour because that will be all about you. Wide open forum, 609-407-1450. I hope you do what you always do, and that's just obliterate these phone lines. 609-407-1450 and share whatever is important to you because that makes it important to me and all of us. So an Emerson poll is out. And here we go. I'm telling you right now, I want you to keep an eye. See, the media wants to distract you and have you looking at shiny objects and all kinds of things that don't mean a hill of beans. And remember, the popular vote doesn't matter either. It's nice to win. It's a nice beauty pageant. It shows well. It's always nice to get the majority, but you don't need it. Here's what I want you to keep an eye on. When they're giving you all this static noise and telling you how bad your guy's doing and that the guy that's almost in a catatonic state is winning and, oh, he's so sharp, he's so smart, we can't keep up with him, oh my God, he beat Carl Lewis yesterday. He wasn't at Camp David, he was at a time trial. He beat Carl Lewis. I mean, they're just lying through their lying teeth that are typically very yellow, by the way, and unattractive. Notice the people with the brown and yellow teeth are telling you to watch your hygiene. So the Emerson poll looked at really all that matters. And this was the Emerson Polling Institute's first polling in these key swing states since President Trump's conviction last month. So it's very, very important. I want you to focus on these 6 states. And then guess what? If Trump wins in New Hampshire, and I think he's going to, great. And if he wins in some of these other unexpected places where he's expanding the map, and I want you to understand something. Trump is expanding the map. Biden is incapable of expanding the map. There's a big difference here. Trump has a wide path, many different ways to win. Joe Biden has a very narrow path. It's not to say that he can't do it. I don't believe he will, and we better pray that he doesn't. But his path is very, very narrow. I want you to focus on these 6 states when they're trying to get you all jazzed up and demoralized. Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. And Wisconsin, Trump really doesn't need. If he wins that, I'm telling you, there are states. If Trump wins Wisconsin, he's going to be president. If Trump wins Pennsylvania, he's going to be president. I just know it because I know how other dominoes will fall. Trump leads in Arizona 47-43. Trump leads in Georgia 45-41. He's got as much as a 10 or 12-point lead in other polls last week. So this is not like these are just happy joy. These are realistic snapshots at this time, plus and minus a few points here and there. Michigan, Trump 46-45. Nevada, Trump 46-43. Pennsylvania, Trump 47-45. Wisconsin, Trump 47-44. Isn't that kind of interesting? He leads them all. Some of them are tighter than a tick. 4-point lead and beyond, it starts to get comfortable. Quote, this is the Emerson College polling executive director, Spencer Kimball. And I'm telling you right now, this poll is not particularly kind to President Trump. I believe he has a bigger lead in Arizona than is shown here, a bigger lead in Georgia, a bigger lead in Michigan, a bigger lead in Nevada. Pennsylvania probably is pretty close to that. Trump might have a little bit larger lead than 47-45. And Wisconsin looks about right to me, 47-44. Quote, in our first polling in several key swing states since Trump's conviction last month, there has been little movement, with support for both Trump and Biden staying largely consistent since November. That is Emerson College polling executive director Spencer Kimball. So that's, remember when I told you that I was anxiously awaiting, and maybe not anxious, because I was pretty comfortable that Trump's support would not be dramatically affected. Look, you don't want to have 34, count federal, and it wasn't federal, state conviction. You don't want that. But oh my gosh, I mean, for it to not even have changed the math is amazing. Maybe what it has done, the George W. Bush DUI, and I guess that's also called DWI, driving while under the influence, that cost President Bush the popular vote. It almost cost him the entire election. That came out on the Thursday before the election. Trump doesn't have anything like that. This is all baked in. This has been out there a long time. The outcome is not a surprise. Novel is a polite way of putting these obscene abuses. Novel is a kind way to refer to what they've done. You've heard the term lawfare and all of that, prosecuting your political enemy. It's awful. And Trump's going to hit Biden with it hard. And then Biden will do that smile where only half his lip, that's got to be something wrong with that too. Like a stroke or something. I mean, I promise you when you smile, it looks even and both sides go up. Joe Biden smiles and only the right side goes up. Stage left, but right side. Trump's got to hit him with a couple of haymakers on Thursday night. He's got to hit him hard on the millions of people that he's brought into this country, the unknown number of gotaways that these people are given pieces of paper that tell them to come to a court date in 5 and 10 years. It's obscene. It's disgusting. And we have Americans being robbed, raped, assaulted, murdered. And Joe Biden unleashed this on our country, and he did it on purpose. Trump can easily say, I had policies that were working. These people had to stay in Mexico. They couldn't even come into this country unless we said you can come in. That's the way every country, every border in the world, I don't want you to do this, but hear me out on this point. if you went into some of these other countries around the world and you snuck in or walked in, number one, it would be very hard to do because they don't keep their border open the way that we do. And again, Biden keeps it open on purpose because they are playing long game. They're willing to take the grief now. Like this guy, Mayorkas, getting his face kicked in all the time because he's doing what he's ordered to do. You let them in and then you explain we're doing everything we can. You just say that Congress is the reason for this. Trump is bad. Us letting everybody in is good. They have lied. They have broken our country. They have broken the world. No country on the face of planet Earth would ever let people come in unencumbered the way that the Biden administration has done for the past almost 4 years. No one would do it. You'd be locked up and you might never get out. You'd be locked away if you did that anywhere else. Here we reward them with money and all kinds of privileges. We'll be back 609-407-1450, your phone calls.
Today.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
I thank you so very much. Thanks for waking up early in the morning. It's 6 minutes past the hour. Do you ever feel like you're being punked? Do you remember the show? I used to really like it. Sometimes a little bit cruel, and I didn't like that, but it was usually just fun. But the show was called Punked, hosted by Ashton Kutcher. And they'd have the cameras rolling. They would create these scenarios to see how celebrities would handle the encounter. And sometimes they'd handle it very well. I'll tell you who was one of the greatest ever to get punked was Simon Cowell. They pretended to smash Simon Cowell's Lamborghini, and he took it like a man. I guess because he could buy like 1 million of them, maybe 10 million, 100 million of them. But he really took it very, very well. I feel like we're getting punked. I feel like the whole Biden presidency is to flip us out. That you just one day you're just going to flip out. Like you just can't take it anymore. Now the White House has promoted someone in communications who directly compared our police to slave patrols. Okay, this weirdo looking guy. And we're getting punked. I'm telling you. It's true. This is like the Truman Show or something. It's just, it can't be real. But they promote this radical to now be like assistant director of communications, I believe is the title. You've got to be kidding me. Thank God it's only going to be for about the next, 4 months. And then unfortunately, don't forget, one of the things I'm going to be reminding you on a daily basis, the damage that Biden is going to be able to do from November 6th until January 20th at 12 noon. Because you have to understand, these people never stop. They will never stop. You think losing the election, the American people throwing you out, not wanting you to stop, like stop right now. Stop it. Don't do another thing. They're not going to act like that. They're going to continue to make radical decisions. And keep in mind, some of the worst decisions are going to happen after he loses. Radical judges, the race to do this executive order, it is going to be an absolute radical freak show. Just remember, I'm telling you, I'm promising you, November 6th through January 20th at 12 noon will be a very perilous time in our country. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Mr. Hurley, good morning.
Good morning to you.
the upcoming election is extremely important. We realize that in the 4 years that are going to be involved.
Correct.
The 4 months are what I'm concerned about right now.
You mean what the 4 months before November 5th or the months after November 5th?
Before November 5th.
Well, yeah. Well, keep in mind, though, I disagree with that. You're entitled to your opinion, but keep in mind, Biden's going to keep doing radical crap, but it will be less radical than it otherwise would be because he really does want to win. So, I mean, like these immigration decisions that he has made, you almost would think he's throwing the game because it's so bad to do that right now. What are you doing that now for? So I say these next 4 months are not as bad because this will be Biden on good behavior. He's going to fake like he is doing something at the border. They won't be as radical. I think we get a break to some extent over the next 4 months. I don't know why you see it the other way.
It's going to be interesting to see how it develops. Social Security is going to be attacked right now. Every avenue that he has pursued is deep in the red.
Yeah.
He's getting less and less available to him. He's now running at Social Security because it has less protection and it has funds that are still solvent. He's talking about adding hundreds of thousands of people or visitors coming in.
Yeah, over 500,000 for starters. So you know that's not even nearly what it will be because everything he does is a lie. If they admit to 500,000, it's 5 million.
Right. And it's not going to get any better. The more
but keep in mind, though, he's going to be gone. He's not going to win, and he's going to be gone. There's not that much he's going to be able to do. Trump's going to deport them. He's going to do what Eisenhower did, and the American people are going to be in favor of it.
5 states that we're going to be looking at, they will purposely drag their feet, and all their interests are going to be held. We're going to be mesmerized by these states, and all of their action is going to be taking place somewhere else. We have a laser focus on every state that's going to be important.
Well, I agree with that. But the battleground states are the battleground states, though. California is not in play. And you go through all the blue states and all the red states. So, yes, you have to take care of business in every state. And you cannot I agree with you, you cannot take your eye off of any of those prizes. But the main focus will be the 6 battleground states because if you look at 2020, even with an unprecedented vote-by-mail election that we had, 42,000 votes over 3 states, and Trump would have won re-election. That's how close that was.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep, it will. And I appreciate your call. 609-407-1450, an open phone line. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Harry. A belated happy birthday to you and your brother, Don.
Thank you.
And today is my birthday. I'm 82.
Happy birthday to you, young man.
And one more thing. The gentleman, the 62-year-old gentleman who was killed in a wheelchair on a Black Horse Pike.
Yeah.
I knew him.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. So, he was a Dallas Cowboys fan, and I used to tease him since I'm an Eagles fan. So,
well, whenever I see that kind of thing, I always wonder. I mean, because I have been out there on the roadway, and I've seen some motorized wheelchairs come zipping in and out. I was so sad when I heard that, though, because you look at that kind of thing and you just want to say that, why did that happen? I mean, that's why they're called accidents, but, just very, very sad, Paul.
Yeah, Ernie, rest in peace.
Yep.
He was a good guy.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you for remembering him. 609-407-1450, an open phone line. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning. I can't help but see the globe, the Earth, made into a gigantic chessboard, and we have 2 types of socialists going at each other. One's a commie Marxist, and the other one's a Nazi, and they're hoping that they'll bring out our are inner commie or inner Nazi. The only problem with that is we fought the Nazis from 41 to 45, tooth and nails, and also we resisted, or in the Cold War with the Marxists, the Bolsheviks, from 1945 to 1991. So that's not going to happen. We're not going to become communist or socialist or anything like that. But now, some definitely not Rhino GOP politicians had taken the Democrats to task for presenting Joe Biden with Adolf Schicklgruber's little squinty blue eyes to ink black eyes. They said, how did that happen? They said, well, it's his medicine. God forbid we ever have to take that medicine.
Well, who says it's his medicine? There's no disclosure that he even takes an aspirin. We get no disclosure. I just know if one day, if every day you are squinty-eyed, and all of a sudden one day you are just eyes wide open, come on. Something's up. And before we go another step, you got a little cold there, Flash? I hear a little...
Yeah, I'm not feeling too tough, yeah. So it's all right. I'll live.
All right, well, you get well.
All right, thanks.
All right, Flash. Feel better. 609-407-1450, an open phone line. You will be next. Please don't go away. You're next on the Hurley in the Morning program. Right back. After this, we do have an open phone line. First time this half hour at 609-407-1450. Chuck Malamut on a special day and time coming up in about 50 minutes from now, because tomorrow we will be hosting the Brian Kilmeade Show. Chuck was kind enough to move to today, so it works out very well. Mayor Charles Kane, I'm going to save, we have breaking news from last Thursday at the Linwood Country Club that we will break with Mayor Kane. That's coming up in today's fourth quarter. And I was just sharing with my friend across the way from my studio, Steve, we have quite a lineup later this afternoon. It's like a scavenger hunt, though. You have to find me. I can promote Kilmeade because Kilmeade's on our station. I can't promote where I'll be later this afternoon except to say that you'll be able to find me. It won't be hard. And we have an incredible lineup. Tommy Lahren. We have Miranda Devine. We have the incredibly effective gentlelady from Florida, Congresswoman Salazar, and the fantastic Liz Peek, who's a Fox News contributor and a FoxNews.com digital content creator. Terrific on all things Decision 2024. So we have the author of Laptop from Hell. We've got the host of Fearless on Outkick. Tommy Lahren is fearless, and we have Congresswoman Salazar. It's quite a day. I hope you'll be a part of it. We're coming back to your calls. You'll be caller number 2. Hang in there. 609-407-1450, an open phone line.
Wake up weekday mornings with Hurley in the Morning.
This is the stuff we need to talk about.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Turn up your radio. Here's the Sean Hannity Morning Minute.
You have two people that support one candidate and the format that supports one candidate. Will it really be 3-on-1? Probably in the end. Trump says maybe there's a 10% chance they'll be fair. I think that's a little on the high side, if you want my opinion. They want to spend most of this debate fixated on anything negative about Donald Trump. And they want to keep Donald Trump on defense. It's going to be democracy in peril. They're going to bring up the Democrats trying to keep Donald Trump off the ballot. They are going to try to tilt the debate in Joe's favor any way they can. That's just the way it's going to be. You think I'm wrong? I'm not.
Check out the Sean Hannity radio show later today, right here.
In an era of escalating social unrest, rising crime rates, safeguarding your family has never been more critical. Now, introducing the Burner, the less lethal pistol launcher. It's a non-lethal defense option. Now, it's developed by common sense gun owners who value the power of choice. This device enables you to de-escalate dangerous situations effectively without the finality of lethal force. Burner offers a safer, sensible alternative that can save lives on both ends and protecting the user, delivering formidable stopping power to deter any aggressor. The burner is ideal for those wary of traditional firearms. It provides an effective self-defense tool without deadly consequences. It's legal in all 50 states. No background check or permit required. It can be shipped directly to your door. It is an essential tool for responsible, non-lethal protection. Burner, byrna.com/Hannity. You also get 10% off any purchase. Stay safe with Burner, where smart defense meets innovation.
Enable our skill and tell your smart speaker, play WPG. You're listening to Hurley in the Morning.
It's a source I can trust.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. 23 minutes past the hour, 609-407-1450. Phone lines are open. Chuck Malamut coming up in about 38 minutes. Craig, welcome to Hurley in the Morning. Thanks for calling in. You're on the air.
I guess Chuck's kind of scooping in to collect a big check for the deposit there after your big event there, Harry.
Well, the good news is we have digital deposit capabilities with Morgan Stanley, so we do not have to burden the branch.
Well, let's see here. I was listening to you earlier, and you know the one caller that said, well, what he could do before. No, I agree with you, Harry. It's what he'll do after the election. And something similar to that. There's three things I want to talk about, so I hope you help me get across that.
By the way, on that comment about the bad things that can happen after November 5th when Biden loses, notice I didn't say if Biden loses. A lot of them can be mitigated because Trump is going to be able to shine. If Trump vanquishes Biden, and he will, I'll remove the word if, when Trump vanquishes Biden, it'll be like a magnifying glass on every single thing that Biden does, because once the American people have thrown you out, you shouldn't make another decision other than the ones you absolutely have to make.
Like the decision he just made, signing a presidential order preempting the Supreme Court to allow an MS-13 male who's come from another country because his wife moved to this country. He should be allowed to stay here to kill other people.
I know, it's crazy.
That's what we're up against.
Right, he set a law that doesn't even matter how bad you are. Just marry an American. You're in.
Mm-hmm. So we have a little...
And by the way, we know that, and it's mostly women marrying men, but I know it happens the other way, too. We have people that marry prisoners all the time.
Yeah, we do. But, you know, Harry, we're not bringing them in from another country to...
Well, that's the key. They are Americans. This would be illegals that get married, and Joe Biden wants that to mean you get to stay. No thanks.
Yeah, and the simple fact that the Chinese government owns land by 44 of our military bases, that's no big deal.
And they've opened up police stations in our country.
I know.
I mean, you can't. You literally have to laugh because otherwise you would cry, and you can't make this stuff up. What they have allowed.
I don't even know.
Could you imagine opening up the Craig Tanzola police station in China? How long do you think your precinct would stay open, Craig?
Well, first of all, you're saying how long would I be alive?
Yeah. You wouldn't even have gotten in under those circumstances.
There we go. I wouldn't be alive. Don't forget what they do to the Muslim people over there. But, Harry, we got an election coming up, and we have a little bet that Biden wasn't going to be, for the breakfast. And I heard a little tidbit, and, I think this Thursday is going to be a big day because we're going to see how Biden does and whether or not he's going to be yanked with a big hook like he's coming off stage. But what I've heard was a Michelle Obama, Hillary Clinton hookup for vice president of the United States to take his place, because that would take care of Kamala and that would take care of Joe. And, look, there's been crazier things happen. I mean, this country allegedly, I do say allegedly, elected Joe Biden. What do you think?
Well, I know you have a lot of these different things that you think that it's going to lead to different people, and that Biden won't be the candidate and Hillary will or Michelle will and all these different things. Biden's going to be the candidate unless if he completely falters this Thursday night, or if it were to happen in the second debate, they will find a way to go to him, the Obamas and the Clintons and everybody you're talking about. And they'll say to Jill, this can't happen. Figure out how you want to handle it. We'll let you handle it, but this can't happen. So it's not over. I mean, Biden could still be replaced, but the way they would do it would be Biden would make an announcement. He would release his delegates. I mean, they would let him save face. That's how that would go down.
Well, I agree with you totally. Where, as far as him saving some grace, but I think that the Obamas are very frustrated at this point with how. I just think that
I think Obama grabbed him by his wrist and walked him like he was an invalid, like a patient, off of that stage. I think Obama did that on purpose.
Oh, it totally showed.
Because it was weird. I mean, he did freeze all of a sudden, and it looked weird. But Obama, I don't believe, had to do it the way that he did. And then he puts his arm around him like he's like Biden would fall down without it. I mean, he caused a lot of damage for Joe Biden that night. And I don't care what people say. All the surrogates come on and say they're like family. They're so close. They don't even like each other.
I think it was intentional.
I think it was too.
Okay. And so Candace Owens, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Do you believe in things that she brings up pretty much?
I don't believe in a lot of the things she brings up. I do believe in some of the things she brings up. She is way out there, Craig.
Well, did you hear the latest thing?
It depends. I don't know what you're going to say. And you know me, if I haven't heard it, I don't make up like I did. I'll tell you if I didn't.
Well, she came out with that Macron's wife, you cannot see. The people asked, to see baby pictures of her. She showed a baby picture of her daughter in black and white instead of her own baby picture. So that, it led to, looking for her and the fact that she was in the United States when she was 16 when she gives out her age. So what Candace said was, and I'm not saying it's true, I'm not saying it's false, but what Candace said is that Mrs. Bridget, is it?
Not even sure. I know her as Macron's wife.
Okay. Is a transgender.
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean,
that's what she said.
So that's what I'm telling you. I don't believe a lot of what she says.
Okay.
Honestly, Craig, she had, I thought, a really good glide path to an incredibly successful career, and she just seems to do a lot of very weird stuff.
Oh, there's no question. She came out really strong, and then I don't know what happened.
She got way out there.
Sometimes, Harry, look, who would know better than you? Sometimes people, that you've seen in this industry, they get a little bigger than their pants, particularly in politics.
But why all the crazy, I would never say that thing about Macron's wife. I mean, how does she say these things?
Wait a second, but you know what, Harry? According to her, okay, there's been a 3-year investigation on this, and the people that were doing the investigation, the Secret Service of France came to their house and, yanked them and pulled them and questioned them. So who knows? There's been weirder things that have happened in this country and other countries as well. So we'll see where that lands. But, come on, we're at a weird time. The United States can't talk here. If that was France, look at what we got running in our schools and the systems that we have. If you want to get government educational funds, what you have to do to our children.
Look at this new assistant director of communications, this weirdo. So we got plenty of weird going on, no doubt. All right, Craig, break time. Have a wonderful day. I'm not a Candace Owens hater. I just don't like the transitional path that she took from what I thought was really credible and hard-hitting to way out there and at times wildly, to me, irresponsible. Look, I don't mind. I say some acerbic stuff, but I would never say some of that stuff. That's like Alex Jones, Candace Owens territory. It's like a whole category of weird. 609-407-1450. You'll be right up after this. Please don't go away. We'll come right to your call next. And then you can join us at 609-407-1450. It is Hurley in the Morning.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
It was a busy weekend on the digital content side, but I'll grab 3 and pluck them out of midair. 3 stories that you can follow on our WPG Talk Radio 95.5 app. Our favorite lobster meals in the Atlantic City area, and they are spectacular. Check it out, photos and all. Before casinos in Atlantic City, there were these great restaurants. It's another good piece. And PBS Television, in a Hurley exclusive, they're doing a show about Eddie and the Cruisers and their time spent in Summers Point.
Stations only.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. It is still uncomfortably warm and sticky this morning, with temperatures in the 70s and even 80s, but relief from the extreme heat on the way today as it turns windy and much less humid by this afternoon. High of 85, partly to mostly sunny skies. Quite comfortable tonight. Clear skies, low 65, mostly sunny, and 90 tomorrow, 93 on Wednesday with some thunderstorms thrown in too. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
From Playtime, Hurley in the Morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're listening to Hurley in the Morning.
We live in a society where everybody is offended.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. South Jersey's talk station.
Wasn't it Jackie Gleason who once said, "Who can we offend today?" Long before his time, he was saying amazing things. 609-407-1450, an open phone line. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
I just wanted to thank you one more time for making room for Gray to play in the tournament.
Always.
I can't tell you how much he enjoyed it, and the weather and the course and the players. Thank you again, Harry.
Well, when Gray's in our tournament, it's a classier tournament, so it's my pleasure. He is. I heard Gray. I think I heard Gray say thank you. He is, as you know, he is a perfect gentleman. We love having him in the tournament, and tell him to get ready for Thursday, June 19th, 2025, which is Don Hurley's birthday.
Yeah, I was going to say that. You know, Harry, truth is always funnier than fiction, and I remember a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a little more, I called and said I had to have an orthopedic surgery, and they wanted me to go to University of Penn, and I thought they were going to kill me on the table, and I said, it's the administration. Well, long story short, we just had a 3-day fundraiser for our firehouse. We had the coin drop, and I'm always in the count team, and I was with a couple other gentlemen, and we were talking, and the gentleman had said to me that his granddaughter, and you know her father really well, he said, my granddaughter just graduated from the University of Penn. And he said she had her cap gown, and on her wrist was painted a Palestinian flag.
Oh.
And I said, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? No, but that's just the way it is now. Yes. All right. So the funny thing is, for her graduation, her mother and her are on a European tour right now. And I said, I would love for your daughter to take your granddaughter, maybe fly into Tel Aviv and make your way over to Gaza Strip and see how well the Palestinians treat both her and her mother, how they treat women, okay? And maybe I think that she would probably get out some nail polish remover and remove that flag from her wrist.
It is amazing to me how this propaganda has worked. It just blows my mind, because there's no question that women are brutalized. I mean, it's hard to believe that there is this pro-Palestinian. And by the way, I'm not saying about this youngster because I don't know, but most of these pro-Palestinian people in America are very anti-Semitic.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I mean, look, if somebody said there are a lot of good people that aren't part of Hamas, that hate them, that want them vanquished, and they want to have a better life, I'm sure that that's quite accurate. But right now, the aid that we send, the bridge that we built that keeps breaking, and everything that goes in there, Hamas controls it all, as you know.
Mm-hmm. So it should be.
You just remind me of something very important, Andrea. You do this a lot, and sometimes it's directly you know it, and sometimes it's indirect. I've been meaning to mention all morning, Fat Alvin Bragg dropped all of these charges against the people that terrorized people in colleges. They broke countless rules, held people hostage, committed unbelievable violence. Bragg says, we don't have a lot of evidence. We don't have a lot of video. They have nothing but evidence. But yet he prosecuted Trump, Andrea.
And there's still people sitting in solitary confinement for January 6th.
Yeah, there won't be, though. The Supreme Court's going to get most of them. Trump will get the other ones that deserve to be released.
But that was a very inside, story of what our educational system is. But again, I would, and like I always say, I just wish, I can't emphasize it enough. Unless you have left this country, you have no idea how the rest of the world lives. No idea. And even the best country, there's no country like this. But, I just thought that was an interesting story, and letting me share that with you, I really appreciate it.
Thank you,
okay?
Andrea. Take care. You too. Bye-bye. 44 minutes past the hour. We'll be right back. You can jump in. Phone lines are clear for the first time this hour, so now's a really good time to call in. We'll get right to you after the break. 609-407-1450. I almost thought I would never say this because I'm not a believer in Snopes. Snopes, Snopes. I find it to be very hard left-leaning, and they come to conclusions regarding a variety of different questions, and then they assign whether the allegation or whatever the charge, whatever it is, whether it's true or false or partly true, partly false. We'll share this with you when we come back. Snopes. Oh, my gosh. I can't believe I'm saying it. Also, last week I said, oh, my gosh, I haven't put on CNN or MSNBC or NBC or ABC. Look, if a sports game is on or something, I do. But I'm talking about for any news whatsoever. You will not catch me doing it. I never do it. Never, ever. None of their shows, none of their news. If it's entertainment or sports, yes. Well, I found out. I guess it was part of the deal or something. But Fox News is simulcasting the CNN debate. I don't have to dirty my hands and soil the remote with the dirt and the mud and the slime. I don't even know what number I have to do the voice thing because I don't even know what number it is on my Xfinity platform on Comcast, or not Comcast, is now Xfinity, but the Xfinity One platform. I'm not going to have to do it. I'm going to be able to watch a simulcast of it. Yeah, I'm still going to have to watch Fake Tapper and Dana Bash, but let's see how long it takes them to bring up that Trump is a convicted felon, and they'll clearly say many times 34-count indictment, guilty of all 34 counts, even though Bragg took one thing and Shazam made it, like a magician, made it 34, and the whole thing is fake. That's why he's Fake Tapper. That's going to be big. That won't take them long to get to. And, of course, do you think they're going to bring up, hey, Joe Biden, in the debate 4 years ago, you said that the laptop of your son's was Russian disinformation, your Justice Department. So you're going to leave that up to Trump to bring it up somehow. They should bring it up. Let's see if they do. I'll commend them Friday morning if they do. But they should bring all that up. Biden lied. And what about removing the security clearance of the 51 people who did what they did? Talk about election interference, huh? But you watch, it's going to be about abortion because they want Trump to say something where then they can come after him, on a woman's right to choose and all of this. He has to be very disciplined on all of this. Biden doesn't have to be. They'll be helping him. But yeah, it's going to be abortion and January 6th and insurrection and the state conviction, 34 counts. You're a felon. You think the American people deserve to have... I can hear fake Tapper. Maybe they'll leave it to Dana Bash. Mr. Trump, because he won't be President Trump, but Joe Biden will be President Biden. Mr. Trump, do you think the American people deserve a felon, a convicted felon, as their next president of the United States? What do you say to that, Mr. Trump? After all, you are a convicted felon. I saw a sign, and it didn't even have to say anything. It was the identical colors of all the different Trump signs that are out there, and it said, vote felon. I absolutely loved it. Loved it. We'll be back. Yeah, I'm going Snopes. I can't believe it. Wash my mouth out with Ivory soap. What is Ivory soap? 98 and is it 33% pure? I'll look it up. I'm going to wash my mouth out with soap. I'm going Snopes. I can't believe it when we come back.
Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the morning.
It's a refreshing drive to work in the morning.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Tax fees may apply.
Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
Ocean City,
EHD, Brigantine,
Mays Landing.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
So here's my story, and I'm sticking to it at 53 minutes past the hour. Chuck Malamut joining us in about 12, 13 minutes. I don't know how I came across it, but I came across Snopes. I don't mean its existence. I've known of its existence for the longest time. I mean on one particular issue. And you might remember back in 2017 when the media tagged Trump with saying, and this shows you their level of blatant intellectual dishonesty. And you remember me saying there are times where they get away with lying, and no matter what you do, you cannot overcome the lie. It's cruel, it's terrible, and they know they're doing it, but they get away with it. And they did get away with it on this occasion. They played this game that Trump said there were very fine people on both sides. And they turned that into, his comment was about protesters and counter-protesters. They turned it into that Trump called neo-Nazis and white supremacists very fine people. He never did that. I remember saying to you that that's a lie. They know they're lying, and they're going to keep doing it. And then, of course, Biden used it, and it spread like wildfire in the 2020 election. Tell you what, that one thing could have cost Trump the presidency. Obviously, an all vote by mail election was a big problem. But this kind of thing, where they get away with saying that you're basically a Nazi and a white supremacist, they say these things. Trump should sue them all. Now, Trump saying that there were very fine people on both sides, again, was his reference to protesters and counter-protesters. He said in the same statement that he was not talking about neo-Nazis and white nationalists, who he said should be, quote, condemned totally, end quote. I'm having such deja vu here because I remember so many times sharing the truth versus the lie. They all knew they were lying, but they don't care. They make something whatever they want it to be. It was like George Allen, and it cost him his seat. I'm not even going to say the term because the media turned it into something I never heard it ever being referred to as, and they made it exactly what Alan was saying, and they made it that he was saying a slur, and he didn't, and he wouldn't, but they got away with it. Believe it or not, even this hard, left-leaning Snopes has rated this claim about Trump as false. They confirm that Trump never called neo-Nazis and white supremacists, quote, very fine people. I don't remember Snopes racing to President Trump's defense in time for the election. But if you were to go look this up, that would be a false claim. And it always was a false claim. They updated their post to include an editor's note, because always with Trump, you always have to make it ambiguous. But they added that Trump was correct and that this is not the case. That Trump's comments were, quote, taken out of context and spread like wildfire, according to Snopes, and were used in Joe Biden's 2020 presidential campaign. Trump should clear that up. If Biden brings that up, Trump should clear that up. Say, look, Biden, Snopes, which I don't think likes Trump. I'm saying that like it is Trump saying that. He should settle that score. Say, I'd love to wager a pizza for how long. I'm not going to, but I'd love to. For how long it's going to take for Trump to pounce on Biden about his lie to the American people. Biden's Department of Justice, for Biden to maintain his position, which he might because he's sick, that the Hunter Biden laptop is not proven, that it's Russian propaganda. He now can't say 51 people anymore because that's all been debunked. But he did say, because it was either Peter Doocy or someone grabbed him at a rope line, because it's the only way you can ever get a question in. This guy doesn't hold press conferences because he can't. And he said, do you still stand behind your statements in the past about this laptop, being Russian disinformation? And Biden said, yes, I saw it happen in real time. I know what I saw, and I know what I heard. So Biden would be this would be a great trap for Trump to lay. And I hope Biden sticks with his lie. And then Trump can say, well, that's interesting because your Department of Justice has confirmed that it is valid, that it is not Russian disinformation, and it held up in court with the conviction of your son with multiple federal felonies. We'll be back. Chuck Malamut is next.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you. Welcome back. It's 6 minutes past the hour. Chuck Malamut is the managing director. He leads his team, the Malamut Group, at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office. The following program is presented and sponsored by Chuck Malamut, a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. The information, views, and opinions expressed on this broadcast are those of Chuck Malamut and do not necessarily reflect those of Morgan Stanley or its affiliates. They are current as of the date of this broadcast and are subject to change without notice. Neither the information provided nor any opinion expressed herein constitutes a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. This presentation is for informational purposes only. Morgan Stanley, Smith Barney, member SIPC. Chuck Malamut, welcome to your program. How are you?
Good morning, Harry. How are you?
I'm doing good. Good to see you.
Get rested up over the weekend?
No, I did a lot of work this weekend. But I'll tell you what, Thursday was great. Thank you for all of your great support, Chuck. We had a glorious weather-wise day and really a great event, our 17th annual Hurley in the Morning Charity Golf Open, and you've been a part of every one, Chuck.
Hard to believe, Harry. We'll be together 32 years. Is that correct?
July 1st.
July 1st.
We will have completed 32 years. We will start year 33.
So we were about
12.
I was going to say 17.
Okay, yeah. I'll go with
I'm
yours.
a little older than you.
Yeah, almost exactly that. So how's everything going with you?
Everything's good, Harry. So this is a treat here, being on a Monday for sure. Usually, as you know, we're here every Tuesday. I hope all of your listeners who listen on Tuesday are listening today. If not, they can get it certainly on the podcast. How's that?
That's good for you, man. Well delivered.
So, Harry, last week, major U.S. equity indexes continue to print new highs earlier in the week, thanks to big technology. But in the last two sessions, on Thursday and Friday, we did, in fact, stumble just a little bit. The S&P reached its 31st record close of the year on Tuesday and managed to hold on to a gain of about 0.6% for the week. The tech-heavy NASDAQ was flat for the week, again after hitting new highs. And the Dow was up about 1.5% after being the only major index in the red the prior week, Harry. So value stocks, and we've talked about this before, did outperform the growth counterparts in the last 5 sessions. That's looking at the Russell 1000 growth versus the Russell 1000 value. And small caps did rally as the Russell 2000 index advanced about 0.5%. So when you put it all together, last week the Dow was up 1.5% year to date, now up almost 4%. The S&P up 0.6%, up 14.6% for the year.
Wow.
The winner, as I mentioned, the NASDAQ was flat for the week, but up 17.8% year to date. International stocks, the MSCI EFA, as it's referred to, was up 0.9% for the week, Harry, up 4% year to date. The 10-year Treasury was flat. Year to date now, it is slightly positive. It's up 0.4%. Your top 3 sectors, technology, communication services, and financials, up anywhere from 9 to 28%. On the flip side, what is not working, the bottom 3 sectors continue to be real estate. Again, the only losing sector in the S&P 500. Harry, it's off about 5%. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in our discussion today. Materials and consumer discretionary up about a little bit over 4% year to date. So that's pretty much where we are going into this particular week.
Wow. Strong year so far.
Yeah, Harry, it's been a crazy year. I mean, who would ever think that the market could be up at this point in time? With everything that's going on. I mean,
but I always do, though, because I listen to Malamut, and because this isn't what's happening right now. This is what's happening maybe 6 months, 12 months from now. It makes sense to me. It would, if this was not a leading indicator, it wouldn't make sense at all.
Yeah, and I think, Harry, let's talk about the consumer here for a second, okay? Because, you know, if you take a look at the consumer, it's sort of doing a pulse check on them, a lousy mood, tighter budgets, but spending still remains somewhat healthy. So as we've talked about, you know, the Federal Reserve is currently on pause, but the effects of all the previous tightenings are now continue to filter through the system and the economy, and you're starting to see these early signs of fatigue with respect to the consumer. You know, we've had a fair amount of cooling demand, and that could help inflation moderate somewhat. Because remember, we're stuck between that low to mid threes, and we just can't. We just can't. It's sticky. We can't get anywhere.
By the way, it's not an unprecedented situation. I was thinking about this when President George H.W. Bush was voted out of office. The American people did not believe that we had recovered. We were growing at 4.6% GDP. Bill Clinton got away with saying that, oh my gosh, you think this is a good economy? I mean, the people, this is very similar. I don't know if you agree with this, Chuck, but I agree with me. The same sentiment of people telling a different story in real time than what the economic data would yield. This happens.
Oh, it does.
It's happened many times.
Well, look, you're right. We're living it.
Yeah.
We're front and center. We're living it here. So as I mentioned, the demand, the cooling demand could help inflation, and maybe give the Fed the impetus to say, okay, let's go ahead and get started here with respect to cutting rates. Now, as far as net worth of individual households, because we've had this increasing stock market and housing prices, they do seem to be stuck. They're moving onward and upward, but you're kind of locked into your home. The household net worth continues to set new records. So we have created what is this referred to as this wealth effect. And that does support spending. However, the benefit of rising wealth is not distributed equally. Harry, we've talked about this I don't know how many times. Low-income consumers are really under increasing pressure, day in and day out. So, as long as inflation does continue to cool and consumers remain employed, the economic expansion, albeit, as you mentioned, to, GDP, just not where it needs to be. The bull market should continue. Again, diversification is important. We've always talked about having a portfolio that is widely spread across a lot of different sectors, and don't get into that crowded trade, because as we saw at the end of last week, that movement out of growth into value. So you need to have a balanced portfolio, Harry.
First break at 15 minutes past the hour. When we come back, I'm going to ask Chuck, but I'll tease it now. How will investors respond to this news that Chuck is talking about? And we have a lot more important content throughout the hour. Stay with us. It's Chuck Malamut, all about your financial matters. You can reach Chuck and the Malamut Group at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office at 609-383-2010, 609-383-2010 for all of your financial planning needs. Full service financial services available for you and yours for everything from retirement to vacation planning, college building years, all of it. You'll be in good hands with Chuck and his team. 609-383-2010, the Malamut Group at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office. We'll be right back.
Hurley in the morning.
Harry Hurley is the only person that can make sense of what's happening in Atlantic City.
On WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hurley in the morning.
They stick to the facts.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. We're back. It's 20 minutes past the hour. We continue with Chuck Malamut, all about your financial matters. Chuck, investors, how are they responding to what you've been talking about?
Harry, I'm going to focus here on interest rates, not so much the equity markets. And we've had conflicting stories where one side one camp says they're not cutting rates, another says one cut before year end, another says 3 cuts. But Harry, what happened at the end of last week? You're starting to see investors are really amping up their dovish policy bets with respect to what's happening with labor and all the production data suggesting that the U.S., it looks like growth is going to cool, and we're going to get into that a little bit later today, cooling faster than expected.
Oh, boy.
Traders are positioning for the Fed to make about 2 to 3 quarter point cuts this year.
Go back half a step. You are talking about things cooling right in the run-up to Election Day?
Yeah, Harry.
Wow.
So, we're going to talk about weekly jobless claims, too, as we get into our discussion today. But, the traders right now are positioning the Fed, thinking the Fed's going to make anywhere from 2 to 3 cuts. First one fully priced in for November, but that's actually too late.
It is too late. Since when is it 2 or 3? I thought we were lucky if we get 1 or 2.
Well, Harry, you're seeing
it's
right
moving
now.
Quick.
So you're seeing the data come, and it's.
So they really believe that they have cooled things down.
It's getting weak. I mean, let's talk a minute about what's happening, to the consumer with respect to restaurant spending.
Well, Chuck, I saw that. I'm going to turn it over to you in a second. I just want to make a quick little comment. I saw that on your agenda, and I thought you and I have talked for 32 years about needs and wants. The things you want but you do not need are the things that you will cut. And that, to me, they are bellwether to how the economy is doing. So if you are cutting back on going out to dine, that is that tells the story right there.
So, Harry, retail sales did increase 0.1% from a month ago. This happened basically May, looking at May compared to April, and there's a control group which makes up retail sales. It has fell in aggregate since the beginning of the second quarter.
Can I make the argument that that's not a good stat of any worth in terms of it's a good sign? That just means things cost a whole lot.
So, Harry, when you exclude building materials, you have restaurant spending, auto, and gas. They all kind of fell in aggregate since the beginning of the second quarter. So that's right spot on in what you just said, suggesting that there's a fair amount of downside risk as we get into the latter part of this year. Now, motor vehicle sales did increase, but a lot of that is due, and I'd be curious to talk to Charles Kane about this. There's a lot more incentives out there with respect to the average transaction price, which did increase somewhat in May. So several categories, furniture sales, restaurant spending did fall for the fourth time in 6 months. Consumers, Harry, are pulling back their purchases. Consumer spending is cooling in a fairly orderly fashion. So far, the economy could pull off one of your favorite words here, soft landings, if the Fed is quick to adjust policy as conditions change. Now, unfortunately, I think that what we have, experienced in our 30, soon to be 33 years together, is that the Fed, Harry, is really always slow. They're wrong in the beginning and they're wrong in the end. When it comes to increasing rates, they're always late to the party.
Do you believe that if there is the first rate decrease, that it will be after November 5th?
I don't know, Harry. I'm thinking, for everything that I'm seeing right now, I'm thinking that chances are right now is that we're going to end up with a cut prior to November.
That's what I believe.
I don't know when, but I think
I think that's almost it's rigged and it's in the bank, because that will allow the incumbent president to say his policies are working and we're now in a rate decrease environment. I believe they're going to do that. I believe that.
Even though the Fed is not a political organization.
But I don't believe that either.
Okay.
I've never believed that.
Okay.
Now, this also is not great news. Residential construction is taking a pause. That's not good.
No, Harry. So, housing starts fell to 1.27 million units annualizing during the month of May. Slowest pace we have seen since June 2020. COVID started, March of 2020?
Wow.
Correct?
Correct.
The big story right now, Harry, is multifamily housing starts are no longer leading the way, as they were years right after the pandemic. A slowdown occurred in units under construction, as well as completions, indicating a slowdown in residential GDP component for Q2. So again, another item to look at. The good news with respect to slowdown in residential construction, should further ease some pricing pressures in commodities such as lumber. And softer demand and easing inflation should allow the Fed again start cutting rates later this year.
I remember doing your show, and we were talking about things like the cost of a piece of plywood and what was going on. The prices were just completely out of control to where the costs for building a home just skyrocketed.
But yeah, Harry, but here's what's happening. So, with interest rates moving down in the last couple of weeks, we were also seeing lower mortgage rates, the lowest rates we have seen since April.
But barely under 7, right?
But what is happening, you would think it would give somewhat of a lift to housing, and as we mentioned, May housing starts did fall about 5.5% from the month before, May to April. And again, the lowest level we've seen since the pandemic.
What I see happening, Chuck, people are buying points, and they're getting themselves like a 5% mortgage.
Buying down the rate.
Yes.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, that just increases the price.
Yeah.
So Harry, look, building permits, as we talked about, were down. Existing home sales fell 0.7% during the month of May to a 4.1 million unit annual rate. So do you feel everything that we're talking about, the consumer now is getting stretched?
Yeah, squeezed.
In certain parts of the economy. So the question is, are we, and we'll get to this, and I'm going to throw the question out to you, Harry, and you're going to answer for me. You can answer to me now, or you can answer later, or are we going into a recession?
Yes, but not before November 5th.
Okay. There you go. That sounds...
Congressional Budget Office and what it is doing and what they have announced relative to our deficit. What's the news, Chuck?
Harry, I find it remarkable, and again, if we always talk about this, if you ran your business the way they run their business, you would be out of business.
We wouldn't be talking about year 33.
No, we no. So the Congressional Budget Office just last week substantially revised their 2024 budget deficit estimate to $1.9 trillion, Harry, from a February estimate of $1.5 trillion. How do you move that much that quickly, I'm guessing? And it did raise their forecast for the deficit to GDP ratio in Kirkwood like this to 6.7% from 5.3%. And, Harry, this is all a result of additions to government spending, including, Biden's student loan forgiveness plans, which added about $150 billion in red ink, aid to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan, which helped, boost discretionary spending by about $60 billion, a 70% or $70 billion reduction in the estimated amount of FDIC recoups from payments made to cover bank failures in 2023 and 24, and an increase in estimated Medicare spending. So, again, the point I guess we're trying to make is we just keep piling all this debt, and then we increase our deficit. I don't think, Harry, how much longer can we continue operating like this, or do we just keep kicking the can down the road? Our generation, our children, and our children's children. I mean, I'm thinking at some point in time the piper needs to be paid.
Well, it does, because it's unsustainable, and we'll get to the point where literally there'll be nothing left other than feeding the debt, and then it'll be beyond deficit spending. It'll be even worse. So, yeah, it's a point very well taken. When we come back after the break, Chuck is going to talk about, he did mention it, but it's a standalone topic on Chuck's program this week as well. We'll talk about unemployment insurance claims, much more. Straight ahead with Chuck Malamut, best in the business for all of your financial matters. Call 609-383-2010, 609-383-2010.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
It is 31 minutes past the hour with Chuck. I am Harry, and I have 3 stories that you can follow on our WPG Talk Radio 95.5 app. Our favorite lobster meals in the Atlantic City area. I had one of them with Chuck not all that long ago at an Atlantic City restaurant. Before casinos in Atlantic City, there were these great restaurants. That's a second standalone piece. And this is one we broke. PBS Television is filming a TV show about Eddie and the...
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. We could still see a sprinkle through about mid to late morning as our frontal boundary exits the coast, but nothing like the powerful storms that rolled in yesterday. Partly to mostly sunny skies today, turning windy and much less humid. High temperature 85 this afternoon. Clear and comfortable tonight, low of 65. And for tomorrow, mostly sunny as we start to warm up again. Tomorrow's high back to 90. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today. Here is an important safety.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're listening to Hurley in the morning.
Established, reputable.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. Welcome back. We continue with Chuck Malamut talking all about your financial matters. We're at 36 minutes past the hour. Breaking news in 30 minutes involving the Hurley in the Morning Charity Golf Open that we're waiting for Mayor Kane's arrival. It will be the first time that we break this news. I didn't even break it on social media. I waited until here and now and to tell you all fine people together at one time. Unemployment insurance claims. Chuck, I know you did a tertiary mention of that about a half an hour ago, but as a standalone comment.
Harry, my favorite day of the week, favorite morning of the week is what? Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday, because you're with your brother.
Tuesday, 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
My second favorite day of the week is Thursday. And Thursday at 8:30,
you get the numbers.
You get the weekly unemployment insurance claims. Jobless claims is referred to. So in the week just ending June 15, it looks like the initial claims was about 238,000, Harry. That was a decrease of 5,000 from the previous week's revised level. So we went, remember, and I think Kirk mentioned this, and you doubled down. There were 4-5 weeks. Every week we were 212,000.
Yep.
And it just seemed, how do you get 50,
rigged.
You get 50 states reporting. How do you get the same number every week? But the point I'm trying to make here, Harry,
preloaded numbers. That's how.
So, Harry, the weekly jobless claims and the continuing jobless claims numbers, continue to increase. So what we're seeing here at this point in time, higher for longer. That's the Fed's, motto with respect to interest rates. We're starting to see these initial and continuing jobless claims numbers continue to move onward and upward as it's becoming more difficult, to gain employment. And actually, most recently, Goldman Sachs came out and said that the U.S. labor market is at an inflection point where further softening in demand, and we're seeing that, Harry, which could actually hit actual jobs, not just open positions, the JOLTS report, and could push the unemployment rate higher. I mean, remember we went from 3.9 to 4, and now it looks like, a lot of economists and strategists are saying that maybe we're going beyond that 4% number.
It's, to me, very unusual for an incumbent president to have all these numbers going the wrong way just 4 months before an election.
So
that's not normal.
I know where you're going to be Thursday night. It's a 9 o'clock start.
9 o'clock.
Will you be awake?
I'm going to try to. I don't nap well. I'm going to try to nap so that I can stay up, because obviously that's going to go for 90 minutes, and I have to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning. So that's not a very conducive time for me. But I will be watching.
Maybe you should just pull an all-nighter.
It could happen,
because you're going to Friday. All you got to do is just got to push through those several hours, and then you have your weekend for you.
But then I have 2 articles that I have to write, and I have a lot of other things that I have to do.
You can do it. You're the.
I'm gonna be awake for it. I'm gonna watch it.
You're the mayor of the morning, Harry. You can get it all done.
I don't need sleep, right? I don't need food. I don't need water. I don't need sleep.
Would you give up?
Wind me up.
What's your number one preference? Water, food, or sleep?
Oh, well, you can't live. I tell you what, you can't live without any of them. but you can live longer without the other two than you could without water. I'm going to rate water as first.
I agree with you. You need the water first because you get dehydrated. It's all over.
Yeah. Thanks, Chuck, for the wonderful choices.
Harry, let's go a little bit north of the border here and talk about what's going on in Canada.
Yes.
Because I want to, we always like to spend a few minutes to talk about what's happening.
Tell me about it, Chuck.
Tell me what's happening. Other than Edmonton coming to Florida tonight to play Game 7 of the NHL, which, and by the way, just take a little sidebar here that if they win tonight, that being Edmonton, it'll be I think the second time from the inception of the Stanley Cup that a team has come back 3-0. So it's.
Do you think they will?
Yeah, I mean, I love the way they're playing right now. There's absolutely and the Florida goaltender, Bobrovsky. He's a little insane anyway. But
I think Florida has to be really tight because it's such pressure to be up.
Harry, you saw it in Game 6.
Yeah,
and they folded. I mean, so anything can happen. And the puck can bounce a certain way, and I think it'll be unfortunately, you'll be sleeping, but I think it'll be a really interesting couple hours to watch.
I always wake up though, so I invariably I will see that before it ends.
So let's talk about Canada for a second. Mm-hmm. So we got on Edmonton. So their population grew about 0.5%, Harry, in the first quarter of this year, 2024, up about 3.2 million people from a year ago to 41 million. Over the past 2 years, the country's population has increased about 6.3%. Where do you think the growth came from?
United States?
99% of the growth came from immigration.
Know it.
There you go. So, we'll shift here. We'll talk a little about interest rates for a second outside the U.S. What we're seeing here is that even though consumer prices did increase 2% year over year, falling to the Bank of England's target level for the first time in the last 2 years, despite the good news, at the headline level, services inflation remained relatively high at about 6%, and that kept the Bank of England on the sidelines with respect to decreasing rates. So, and remember, I think we talked about either last week or the week before when Canada.
Are they mirroring what America is doing?
No, because there's been some cuts already outside. You think about, when we talk about Canada for a minute, I think they were the first or second to come with the
Fair
cut.
Enough. So they're holding steady now.
And usually what we see is that, we lead here in the U.S., and all these other countries outside the U.S. sort of, step in line and follow that and take the lead of what's happening here in our country.
Final break. This is very important when we come back with Chuck Malamut, because I think it's one of the definitive questions in our country and also a key question in today's Malamut program that Chuck is going to be talking about. American spending patterns indicate potential consumer-led recession. And I think what those words mean before Chuck even gives you his expert content and detail. Very important topic when we come back. Chuck Malamut, for all of your financial planning needs, call 609-383-2010. 609-383-2010.
Hurley in the morning.
Not only the news, but perspective too.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
Egg Harbor Township, Ocean City, Goshen, Cape May.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you. 49 minutes past the hour. Mayor Kane is on deck. We have breaking news with Mayor Kane relative to the 17th annual Hurley in the Morning Charity Golf Open. That's coming up in about 15 minutes. Chuck continues all about your financial matters. So this, I think, is extremely important. American spending patterns indicate potential consumer-led recession, which is sort of a piggyback from when we were talking earlier about spending, for things you need versus things you want.
So, Harry, as we mentioned, retail sales for the month of May, flattish. Factors, inflation, a cooling job market, Consumers are really starting to tighten up their belts, so to speak, leading to decreased spending. And a recent survey found that about 60% of those who responded felt pessimistic or had mixed feelings about the economy in the second quarter. Consumer sentiment, soured due to the high cost of living and sluggish hiring activity. And again, as we talked about, lower to middle income households experienced the worst of it compared to others. The delinquency rate on credit cards, Harry, has now reached its highest level in 13 years.
These are all telltale.
13 years.
So people don't have the money to pay.
And that's according to the Federal Reserve. They came with that information. So and consumers are really making efforts to cut back on their spending.
Chuck, there's two big things on your show today that I think are like a neon sign blinking. One, that restaurant spending is falling. And now you've mentioned that this highest in 13 years of people not paying their credit card monthly bills. These are undeniable things.
Well, remember, leading up to that, we had talked about how the consumers, went through their COVID, the COVID dollars they received.
Started going in their 401ks.
Then went on and used their income from their work, if they were employed, shifted the credit card to pay, and a lot of that buy now, pay later that we talked about.
Yep.
That has taken place. And I think it's all sort of converging here, Harry. Consumers, again, are making these efforts to cut back on their spending. About 2/3, 3/4 are making what they refer to as these trade downs. They did that in the first quarter, looking for cheaper prices or switching to more affordable brands. Consumers are spending every dollar they have and then more just to cover the basic necessities. So the impact, and you talked about this just last week, is going to hit GDP, Harry. Mm-hmm. The economy has already showed signs of some softening. We had strong growth in 2023. What did we grow? 1.6% in the first quarter of this year. It's a decrease that we've seen from previous quarters. Projections from the New York Fed, Harry, suggest a 50% chance of a recession by May 2025.
Chuck, many times on your program over the years, and we've been doing this now multiple decades, I've heard you talk about markets that are trading within a narrow range and things like that. So the stock market, and this is a question for you, Chuck, is in its longest stretch without a 2% sell-off since the financial crisis. What does this mean?
So, Harry, we always talk about the VIX, which is the volatility index, or VIX, and you can trade that like you can trade an equity or fixed income or whatever. But the stock market right now, Harry, is in its longest stretch without a 2% sell-off since the financial crisis. We've gone 377 days, Harry, without a 2% sell-off. Longest stretch, again, since the great financial crisis. And this lull comes as investors pile into these mega cap tech names that we talked about previously. It's all about AI. Is AI going to save the day? Now, the question at hand is there enough momentum behind AI to carry that trade, so to speak?
Elon Musk actually said yesterday or over the weekend, it's very recent news, he said that AI is going to guarantee and lead to the American people receiving what's called guaranteed income.
Well, Harry,
I was a little surprised by that comment.
Yeah, that is a little surprising, but there have been some comparisons made to the tech bubble, but again, that was a creation of a lot of companies, way back when, that did nothing, and now, I mean, you're getting these huge mega cap tech companies that are participating. I think this story is a little bit different. That's for sure.
I think the colleges and these universities, you take Harvard, for example, I heard over the weekend they have $50 billion in their, little stash. I think that all of these colleges and institutions and universities may be in for a rude awakening I love this term. I've never heard it said this way before. The tool belt generation. Do you really need to attend college? Do you realize you do realize, Chuck, I want our listeners to realize this, that if this takes hold and people don't believe that you need to go to college, that there are other routes in life that are very, very, solid and durable and can provide for a great life, they're in a world of hurt. They kind of have an existence of you have to go. It's almost like it's compulsory.
At a very, very high ticket price.
Yes.
So yeah, the tool, I did find this very interesting, Harry.
I like that.
The tool belt generation, so student enrollment in vocational colleges increased by about 16% in 2023. Growth of less than 1% compared to growth of less than 1% across all four-year institutions. Now enrollment is down. Enrollment is up slightly, we'll say, but not what you're seeing in vocational schools, versus, traditional, four-year college institutions. This is, I think your listeners will really clearly get an indication here, because it's all about, when you get out, what are you getting paid? Harry, the median annual pay for new construction hires up about 5% in 2023, compared to an increase of about 2.7% for new hires in professional services. So now, I guess people are going to, people say, well, geez, construction worker is somewhat limited in their upside compared to a professional that, can earn that much more for so many more years. But certainly, the attendance of these vocational schools and the pay coming out, why do you go to a four-year college right now?
Because you feel you have to be competitive, to get a job, to get a good job. Chuck, I want to go to, and I'm going to set this up by talking about famous sort of generalizations that we've all learned, such as the great Bill Malamut saying that, show me the back of the seat of your car, and I'm going to know exactly how this mortgage transaction is going to go. He was always right, never wrong. When I heard that restaurant spending is down, when I heard a few other things that you brought up during today's program, and you look at things such as, tell me what the price of a gallon of gasoline is right before an election, and I'll tell you who will win. This caught my eye. Milk prices on the decline.
Yeah, Harry, interestingly enough,
because they haven't been.
Milk prices were down about 1.3% month over month, and 2.1% year over year, and that was according to the most recent CPI report that came out.
And the problem with all this, though, is anytime we hear about prices being down, they're down from already being up 30%.
Let me finish. The average price for a gallon of whole milk has increased about 36%.
There you go.
Over the last 20 years.
So good. We got a penny of it back.
We were
percent.
We were $2.95 a gallon of milk back in 2003, and now we are slightly over $4 in 2023, 20 years later.
Final minute, and the music's playing, but maybe you can do a quick comment on it, because I find this interesting. Most people are not shopping bricks and mortar, they're shopping online. But Chuck knows that teens are shopping for their beauty stuff. They prefer in-store.
Yeah, Harry, what is really interesting, teens looking for cosmetics and fragrances, highest level since we've seen over the last 5 years, growth rate of 8% year over year.
This makes sense to me, though, because you got to see it and you got to smell it.
But I've been in these stores. It's crazy, Harry. 85% of beauty shoppers say they would prefer to be in store than rather go online. These are teenagers now, Harry,
because they want to smell it and they want to see what it'll look like, and they have the samples there. This has been presented and sponsored by Chuck Malamut. You can reach Chuck for all of your financial planning needs. 609-383-2010. 609-383-2010. Awesome fast-paced program.
Thanks for having me. See you next Tuesday.
You might be better on Monday than you are on today.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the Broadcast Pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame. You're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you. Welcome back. 6 minutes past the hour from Chuck Malamut, from Charles Malamut to Charles Kane. And oh my, do we come bearing news. There has been no public report about the 2024 17th annual Hurley in the Morning Charity Golf Open Champions. The championship foursome has not been publicly revealed. It was revealed at the Linwood Country Club, but there's been no public mention of it. Outside of that, we waited until today with Mayor Kane, a participant for all 17 years in the Hurley in the Morning Annual Charity Golf Open. Mayor, who won the 2024 championship?
Good Monday morning, Mayor. How are you?
I'm doing great. Do you happen to know who won? Do you know these people?
I actually do. I believe it was a foursome with Kane, and Kane.
Yes. Mayor, your second win in 17 years with a lot of close finishes.
We've been in contention many years, and, we were fortunate to win it at Harbor Pines 1 year. And, to be back this year as the champions of the tournament was a real honor. And I have to tell you, Mayor, once again, the event was exactly what everyone that attended expected it to be. What a job the Doherty family has done on that course and that facility. And, of course, your staff keeping the course moving, keeping the play moving. Just really great event, and pleasure and an honor to be part of it.
Mayor, thank you, and thank you for your great support all these years and what you and your team achieved. You joined Glenn Wallace and Joe Daly and Bill Schmall and his foursome. They've all had the same foursomes, basically. Sometimes one player or so, swaps in and out. But only 3 teams have won twice. And you joined that special company now.
Well, I'll tell you, Mayor, we, the weather was amazing. The course was in fantastic shape. We were really hoping that somebody would hit a hole in one and give the card away. I know that's going to happen one of these years. But, we really didn't think. We knew we were playing well. We had some opportunities that we capitalized on, and then we had opportunities that were missed. Charlie had lipped out a eagle putt on a par 5, which, as you know, that we really thought we needed that. And when we missed that putt, we said, well, I don't think we have enough to get it done, but we're going to come in respectable, and, it'll be another good year, and we'll live to fight another year. And, we were really happy to see that we were able to pull it off and end up with a win.
You won by 1 stroke over the defending champions, Mike Rubel, Town Square Media, South Jersey foursome. They were right there in terms of trying to become one of the few repeat champions in the history of the event. And only, I take that back. Glenn Wallace and Joe Daly have gone back-to-back, and Bill Schmall and his foursome have gone back-to-back and won twice. And they've had a number of very close finishes, by the way, including this past Thursday. You beat the Town Square Media foursome by 1 stroke. I mean, it was really close.
Yeah, it's funny. Even the scorecard. My nephew and he was keeping score in the other cart. So we were talking back and forth, obviously, on each hole where we were at, and I kind of lost track because I thought it was going to take a few more strokes to win it, and again I thought we were falling short. So when we turned the scorecard in, I thought we were at 1 number, and it turned out that we were actually a stroke different.
Yeah, I think you thought you were at 10. You were at 11 under, and I remember the first thing you said to me is we played good. You left a couple strokes out on the course, and that you didn't think it was going to be good enough.
Yeah, I really didn't. I thought, but I tell you, the course again was in really incredible shape. But for guys that golf, they know the greens were really fast, and the pin placement on some of the holes was they were extremely challenging, and that's the way it's supposed to be in that setting, especially when you're offering prizes on holes. But some of the pin placements made it really, really difficult. Again, I thought it was going to take 2 or 3 more strokes, but talking to guys when inside at lunch, they were all saying the same thing. Fast greens and pin placement. So it made it a little more challenging this year, which was great for the golfers.
Did you notice the beautiful Atlantic City pin flags?
I did notice the design on that. I was trying to.
Those are not the Linwood Golf and Country Club flags. We have the Visit Atlantic City has been very generous. They've always put a foursome, sometimes 2, done a whole sponsorship, and they're our pin flag sponsor. So for our event, we fly special Atlantic City flags.
Well, listen, all the little things that you do make the event really special, and the food, and then again the addition. Now I understand next year. I heard you make the announcement. Next year we'll have roving hot dog cart, which is you just keep adding to it, which again just keeps people wanting to come back, and it's for such a great cause. I mean, you and your team do such a great job, making sure that the expenses stay low, so all that money gets redistributed back out in the community where it's needed the most, and we appreciate that, and again, appreciate being a part of it with you.
And the cart that you put out, the Canes Custom cart, was absolutely gorgeous. Oh, my gosh. It was fantastic. So one year somebody's going to get it.
Yeah, it's funny. I go there every year hoping that somebody's going to win it, and for those people that have golfed, the golfers know how elusive a hole-in-one is, and I've been fortunate enough to witness quite a few in various foursomes, but myself, it's been elusive to me, and to many golfers, they'll go their entire lifetime and not have one.
Mayor, Chuck left a question sort of out there on the floor for your arrival, and I'll preface it by saying that we discussed how restaurant spending is down, certain other things, and you and I have talked about it a lot over the years, the difference between need and want. You talk about need buyers, want buyers at the Auto Plaza and at Canes Custom Carts. So Chuck mentioned about incentives for buying cars. He didn't have an answer, but he knew that you would. Are we in an environment where folks are getting incentives to buy, or is supply and demand such that incentives are not required even with high rates?
Well, that's you can't answer that. The incentives for product that's not moving. Of course, some product moves even in different economies differently than other products. So, in other words, a Ford will move differently than a Chevy or vice versa. And unfortunately, as we've talked about for decades, just like Chuck was talking about, the need and want buyer. The need buyer is in the market, and they're even being cautious. The want buyer is non-existent right at this time. And I think that's a product of price and selection, and I think people realize that there's a big change coming in this country, and I think people are holding on to their pocketbooks as long as they can, and we've seen this through the decades. I think it's more pronounced this year, and I don't know whether that's an overall slowing of the economy or it's sitting on the sideline waiting for 130 days from now.
Yeah, I think it's a really good observation. I think it's a combination. Actually, it sounds like an easy way out, but I think it's a combination of both. People have tapped out all that COVID money. People have been dipping into their 401ks. People have been putting their food and gas and everything on credit cards, piling up credit card debt to a record well more than $1 trillion. I think it was like $1.5 trillion or something the last time that Chuck brought it up on his show. And and then he was sharing this morning, Mayor, if you heard it, that people are defaulting at levels not seen in more than 13 years. So there is something going on right now. I think I actually believe that many Americans are tapped out at the moment.
Well, Mayor, we talked about this, and again, you have the number, and I remember the a couple cents and $1 billion or something of that nature, and you would have the numbers off the top of your head. We talked about that 3 years ago.
A penny on the gas price per gallon is $1.5 billion in discretionary spending that the American people don't have. So if gas was $1.87 a gallon, even let's go crazy and go up to $2 a gallon when Trump was in, the difference between that and $3.40 or whatever it is now and $4.19.9 for what I put in my car, Mayor, think about all those billions of dollars gone right now.
Right, and you keep taking that out of Americans' pockets every single week. That was, that extra money is the money that they had to put a few dollars away.
Yep.
They had the money to save for a vacation so they didn't have to borrow for it. And then you couple that with inflation for, just the staples that you have to get at the store to maintain. That you've eaten up all the disposable income of the average American. That's a recipe for disaster.
It is.
And again, we need change, and we need change with a vision. And I believe Donald Trump has put that out there. And, I know all eyes are going to be peeled on, I believe, Thursday night.
Yep.
I'm really curious to see what the candidates have to say to one another.
And I'm sure we'll have the coverage right here on WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I know that Fox News is carrying a simulcast of it, so as long as that's a product that is allowed, Chris Coleman always carries those kinds of things. And if we're allowed, it's a really good programming move, I think. When we come back, this is one that Chuck and I did not get to. This could be life-changing. There are so many people out there that have medical bills that they could not afford to pay and wound up falling behind and wound up seeing it on their credit reports. There was some relief given a few years ago where if it's under, I forget the exact number, but under $100 or a couple $100, it would not be allowed to be put on your credit report as a delinquency. Chuck, and I know we'll get into this with Chuck next week, we just simply ran out of time, was the very next question after teen beauty shopping, that the kids prefer to shop in store rather than online. But that makes sense because you want to smell the perfumes and you want to be able to put the makeup on and try the testers and all that. So that made perfect sense to me. We didn't have time because I picked the teen beauty one. We just didn't have time. We had less than a minute. So we couldn't do the removing of medical bills from credit reports, but this means that medical bills, which for those who don't know, medical bills never showed up on your credit report as an adverse item. Obviously, hospitals lobbied very, very hard, and they won a number of years ago, and these bills then could be put on your credit report. I mean, truth be told, this doesn't take a Kirk Conover Wharton School degree to make this comment. If it doesn't hurt you, people are less likely to pay for it. In other words, if you're going to pay something that will show up on your credit report adverse, or you're going to pay for something that can't hurt you on your credit score, what this is going to do, this is going to improve the credit scores of countless numbers of people. I want to get Mayor Kane's take on that as somebody that has written more loans than anybody that I know. How many times have you seen medical bills that have precipitously dropped an applicant's credit score? I want to talk about that next with Mayor Kane. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Hurley in the morning.
It tends to make me feel a little bit more intelligent.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
It's the topics that matter to me.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. We continue at 23 minutes past the hour. Mayor Charles Kane, owner of the Auto Plaza at English Creek forever and ever and ever, and of course other stores as well in Galloway and also in Cape May County as well, and of course Kane's Custom Carts. Now, Mayor, I said right before the break, and I think this is huge, but you have written so many loans for so many years. How often, Mayor, have you witnessed on the credit reports that you have to pull in order to book loans and such, where medical bills have just crushed the credit score? Quite often, isn't it?
I have seen it because what happens is it goes what we call above the line. It goes up to the top, and it would show as a judgment, regarding that bill. We do see it from time to time. It's probably not as pronounced as you think. It's probably not as much as you think. At the end of the day, though, I do agree with it. I mean, look.
By the way, though, I hesitate to disagree with you because you're an expert in this space. But if this was not a big deal, why would they be doing it?
Well, I can only tell you from firsthand experience. I know, when we look at the reports, what we see, and I do see it affecting people. I do agree with some relief from it because this is not a conscious choice. Yeah, I don't think, and I think you had maybe alluded to Kirk may have a difference of opinion. I don't believe it's a conscious choice. I think that when you have that type of a situation, I think everyone wants to pay their bills.
I mean, you could have cancer and you have millions of dollars of medical bills. Who can pay that? You could have had some kind of accident or whatever, something in your body, gave out and you need some expensive surgery. That could be hundreds of thousands of dollars. Many things happen that are tens upon tens of thousands of dollars. So there's well-meaning people that they just can't afford it. I mean, it winds up where I guess if they will take a payment thing of what you can afford every month and you make your payment diligently, then it will not be a negative on your report. It'll be one of those accounts that's, current and you're making payments. But there are times where they won't take a deal. And then it's like, hey, I can't pay you then. I'm willing to pay you this much, but I have to eat and I have to have a roof over my head. So I know how hard the hospitals lobbied for this to be compulsory, that this would be on your credit score. I think this is a very big deal to hospitals in terms of now people have an incentive not to pay the bill.
Yeah, boy, Mayor, I would have done a little more on this topic if I knew we were going to discuss it. I can tell you, I just think that if you're in that situation, you faced that catastrophic illness, I don't think that the credit report's the most important thing. And I don't think people don't want to, I think people want to pay their bills. And at the end of the day, if you make a conscious choice, you go out and buy something and you overextend yourself and you can't pay for it, that deserves to be on your credit report. In a situation like this, I don't think it does.
Well, I agree completely. And I'm saying it in a how do I put this? I'm saying it in a honorable way. If you have to pay for food for your children, your rent or your mortgage, your electric bill, or they're going to put your family in the dark and in the heat or in the cold, and any other example that you want to throw in there, or are you going to pay the hospital? People are going to do what they have to do, Mayor.
Without a doubt, without a doubt, and I tell you, in the days of back, and I'm going back just a few short years ago. We used to have situation lenders where you could pick up the phone, because a credit score doesn't tell the whole story. A credit score is a summary, but it doesn't tell the whole story. You can't read into what made up that credit score from a standpoint like if somebody's a 550. They may they took care of business and then they had something like you said, something catastrophic and it hurt them and now they're trying to recover from it. We used to have lenders where you could pick up the phone and say, hey, listen, I know this guy's a 550, but if you go down the report with me, you'll see he paid everybody or she paid everybody, but she's got some medical collections up top that, are causing the score to go down. Usually you could get around that and you could talk to the lender and do it. That almost is non-existent anymore. Everything's done with pass-throughs, and now with AI coming on board, I think that, the chances of picking up the phone and talking to a lender are pretty much non-existent anymore.
Yeah, they have algorithms. They have a score. If you get it, you're approved. If you don't, it's not.
And it's, Mayor, there's in a lot of cases now, there's no discretion. I mean, if the bank's cutoff is 550 and you're a 549, I can't even make that call. That's a call that I can't even call and say, because it will not go through what they call their pass-through system. And if it doesn't make it through there, you can't even discuss it on the phone.
Let's get the halftime break in. When we come back, Mayor Kane will return for one more power segment. And at 45 minutes past the hour, Mayor Kane has to leave the program this morning, duty calls, and then we'll have some bonus open for him. And I hope you'll check in, as you always seem to do, at 609-407-1450. Back with Mayor Kane right after this. Don't go away. It is the Hurley in the Morning program.
Hurley in the Morning.
If you really want to know what's happening in Atlantic City, it's Harry Hurley every single morning.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning.
It's well-balanced conversation.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Back to Mayor Kane in just a moment. This portion of Hurley in the Morning brought to us in part by Congress Hall, which is the official hotel in Cape May County for the Hurley in the Morning program. They have been open since 1816, making them the oldest seaside resort in America, which is really amazing when you think about it. And the history is there from the moment that you walk in to Congress Hall. The marbled floor, the flags down History Hallway. You have the Blue Pig Tavern, wonderful food and beverage there. You have the Brown Room Lounge right off of the Blue Pig Tavern. And then down below where they used to, because you needed a boiler room back in the day, they have the original boiler room door mounted on the wall. It's so incredible to see the history. But now all that beautiful space that used to hold coal there's a DJ, there's music, there's dancing, there's brick-fired pizza, other wonderful food and beverage. I love the meatballs and the shrimp and other things that you can order down in the boiler room. It's just fabulous. And to reserve, simple to do. CapeResorts.com/Congress Hall. And that's it. And of course, tell them that Hurley in the Morning sent you. All right, Mayor, I know you've got to go in 10 minutes, so let's make it count. Pull a topic out of the air. Time is yours.
Well, first of all, Mayor, I can attest that it's a really cool atmosphere at the boiler room there. It is. It's a piece of history, but it's a really cool atmosphere.
Love it.
And it's a nice place to visit.
Yeah, we love it there. It's so cool. You go downstairs to the very lowest level, the bowels of Congress Hall. There's the brick walls, the mounted color TVs, the stage. There's a stage that's actually there that I know you have seen, Mayor. So there's entertainment down there and dancing, and it's just great. And I appreciate you mentioning that. Let's talk a little bit about anything that is on your mind.
Well, Mayor, I mean, we are in full season with carts. So to all your listeners, keep that in mind. If you're camping locally or you need one for a special event, we dropped a couple off for birthday parties this weekend. So if there's a special need, we can accommodate you in any manner. You can reach out to us at canescustomcarts@gmail.com or on the website www.canescustomcarts or at the office 609-445-5478. 4th of July is I think we're pretty much sold out for 4th of July at this point. So just keep it in mind. If you want to enhance your event, whether it's a wedding, any type of event you're having, call us. So there's a package we can probably put together for you.
I don't want to put you on the spot because I know that there's a lot of intricacies involved, like exactly what cart you pick and all of that. But if you picked a 4-seat cart and you would like to have it for 3 days, what would that basically run?
Our entry-level cart daily for a 3-day minimum, which is during the summer here, we do have a 3-day minimum because between drop off and pickup, it's very difficult to do it for a day or two.
Yeah.
So for a 3-day minimum with a base cart, you're looking right around, I believe, $49 a day, except for holiday weekends, they go up a little more. And you could run it up to a luxury 6-seater, which will run you probably right around $129 a day.
So that's very doable, all of that. Whether you wanted the larger one or the 4-seater, I mean, that's really doable. And you bring the cart to the customer.
You tell us what time you want it there. It'll be dropped off, and then you tell us what time you want it picked up, and you can do it all on the website. One of the things which is unique for us in this venture is, the orders come in. We got orders over the weekend. We didn't even talk to the individuals. They booked them, and now they're on a schedule, and we'll follow up with them when we get in, let them know that we got their order, and make the arrangements for drop-off.
If you book one for 3 days, how often are you charging the car?
I dropped one for a birthday party, and I know the distance that they're going to be traveling. It's quite a distance because they're in the back of a campground moving, and all the festivities are up front. But they've had it since Friday night. We'll pick it up this morning. They should not have had to charge that cart.
Wow.
There's a visual meter on it that shows you that the charge that's in the cart on all the carts, and I would expect to pick that up, and it's probably still going to be 3/4 charged.
Is that meter like a cell phone and it shows you a percentage, or does that look like a gas gauge and shows you how much you have that way?
Yes. Yeah. And the nice thing is, with it being so visible, you can monitor it just like your fuel tank. If you got in it in the morning and you did whatever you did and you came back and it was an 8 down, you pretty much can judge what you're going to use the rest of the time.
And for those who wonder, does it burn evenly? I'm using the term burn. Does the battery work evenly, or the first eighth? Wow, that I didn't use much at all. But then does it go fast from there, or is it an even process?
Boy, that's a really great question. It's probably the truth is that as the batteries start to diminish, they do start to go down quicker. So what we recommend is just keep your eye on it. If it ever hits 50%, then plug it in and see if you can get that charge back up.
There you go.
Because it will deplete faster.
Very interesting. Give people an idea.
That's what lead acid.
Go ahead.
That's with lead acid batteries. We have not seen that with the lithium packs. The lithium packs pretty much stay the entire time, and they will just, at the end, they'll just drop out. If you run them too low, it just won't power up anymore. So that's why we use that 50% rule.
Give folks an idea. What are some of the reasons that people rent a cart?
Well, just if I just take this weekend's rentals, I dropped one off in a shore town, a 6-seater, where the father that's renting the property for his family wanted it there for easy transportation, so they didn't have to use their cars. Another one I dropped off was for, as we discussed earlier, a birthday party at a campground where they were probably a quarter of a mile from, between being in the woods with the campground to where the festivities are up front. They were about a quarter mile. So, lugging that stuff up front for the child's birthday party and all, it made it much easier with the cart. Mayor, we've had people call up and rent one to drive around their property.
Yeah.
It's just wanted to do something different for the day. There's all kinds of reasons and that people rent them. We're here to help you in any way we possibly can.
I know I've asked you this before, but I think it's just something to talk about. That's I don't want to say it's obvious, but it seems like it is. Shore communities and these carts are a beautiful match, aren't they?
Oh, they absolutely are. Definitely are. It's easier to park them. It's easier to maneuver around. I believe it's safer. You're dealing with much lower speeds. You're dealing with an open cart, less distraction, I believe, than someone being closed up in a car with their windows up and in their own cocoon. And I just think it enhances. Not only is it more practical, weather permitting, of course. I think it enhances the experience. I mean, you truly feel like you're on vacation, whether you are or you're not. I mean, you truly feel it, and if you are, it just enhances that entire experience.
In southern New Jersey, Mayor Kane, are the carts a 12-month proposition, 9-month proposition, less than 9 months? How would you review that?
Obviously, it's going to, the busiest season's going to run with tourism. So as long as tourism is maintained, if tourism stretches a couple more weeks in the summer or starts a few weeks earlier, then of course that, it's going to be parallel to that. But then there's events. I mean, look, we're looking into fall events now, Halloween events, parades, weddings. There's a lot of venues in South Jersey where the venue it's all done on in the same area. But I'll give you, for instance, we rented one to Smithville Inn. The couple was having a wedding in Smithville Inn, and they were staying at the hotel next door. So they got ready at the hotel and then took the golf cart to the wedding event. That was a real nice one, and we actually decorated that for that individual. We knew what their colors were, and so we added their colors to the cart, which was really nice.
Oh, that's a good touch. Here's what I sense, but you tell me if I'm right or wrong. Weddings and the carts, they take pictures in front of those carts, don't they?
Yes, they do. Which, and again, it just enhances the experience. So, if there's a special need that someone has, maybe you need some help trying to configure how it would help your event, just give us a call. We'll try to work it out with you.
Mayor, I want to get you out right on time. If you look at your watch, it's about 30 seconds before when I promised I would get you out. Great to visit with you.
Well, Mayor, I have to tell you just once again, kudos for the great event on Thursday. Proud that we were able to come out on top and be second-time winners. And, we all look forward to next year. We appreciate what you do and, all the good that it does for this community. I believe that you mentioned to the golfers prior to it that this event put you over $1.5 million.
Correct.
That is just a feat that is, I don't know how you do it, but I appreciate being a part of it and appreciate the fact that you do it.
Thank you, Mayor.
I appreciate this time with you and your listeners every Monday morning, Mayor, and it's always a great day to buy or rent a cart from King's Custom Carts.
It is, and we will see you long before and talk to you many, many, many times before, but it's on the schedule Thursday, June 19th, 2025. I can't believe I'm saying that. The 18th annual Hurley in the Morning Charity Golf Open is already secured for the Linwood Country Club, which we're very happy about. So looking forward to you defending.
Appreciate it, Mayor. Have a wonderful week.
You got it, Mayor Kane. Be well. When we come back, I hope you will jump in, and you are already. 609-407-1450. You will be first. Please don't go away. 609-407-1450. Wide open forum until the finish line, which is when Brian Kilmeade's mic goes on. Now, I will tell you, I know there's going to be a guest host today because I was offered to do today's show for Brian, and I could not because I had already committed to do another national program today, and I am confirmed and committed to guest host the Brian Kilmeade show tomorrow, and Brian was not on Fox and Friends today, so I suspect that, and he gets very little time off. He's either traveling the country and doing what he does with his great live shows, or he's getting a little bit of time off. But I don't know who. I'll take a guess. Maybe Mary Walter could be today. Maybe Joe Kelly. Not sure. But I know that it will be us tomorrow, and looking forward to that right here on the station that plays the winners, WPG Talk Radio, 95.5. It's always a kick to throw the program, the Hurley in the Morning program, to Brian Kilmeade, and then we pop back up. It's like we're at every window. Back in a moment. Your call's next. 609-407-1450. This portion of the Hurley in the Morning program brought to us in part by my friends at Ambient Comfort Heating and Air Conditioning Professionals. And yes, the $59 air conditioning tune-up. How many of you are so happy that you took my advice and you got your system tuned up, because in this 100+ degree heat, because it's not just the temperature, it's there's the actual temperature and then there's the heat index, and it was over 100, very, very hot on the mainland. But if you had ambient comfort in your home and you paid them $59 to do the tune-up, you are in good shape. And that's a $59 rate for new customers. They haven't changed the price. Everything's gone up. This is the same affordable price as last year, and I can tell you from personal experience, it's well worth it. When comfort matters, choose who I choose. Choose Ambient Comfort, and their certified technicians will perform a thorough precision tune-up to make sure that your system is safe and running at maximum efficiency. You can schedule your tune-up now at ambientcomfortnj.com. That's ambientcomfortnj.com, or call 609-568-0955. That's 609-568-0955 for your $59 AC tune-up for new customers. Tell them at Ambient Comfort that Harry Hurley sent you. Your calls are next.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
I listen every morning.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. WPGG Atlantic City. WENJ HD3 Millville. A Town Square media station.
Well, the weather's warming up and summer's just around the corner. Everyone has a favorite outdoor activity: golf, bike riding, bird watching, long walks. Ask 100 people, you'll get 100 answers. But if everyday aches and pains are keeping you on the sidelines, I have one answer: Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. Wherever you're hurting, back, neck, joints, or muscles, in 3 weeks or less, you'll start to feel the difference all day, every day. So whatever you like to do, swimming, pickleball, hanging out in the garden, Relief Factor can help you feel good again and let you enjoy all your favorite outdoor activities all summer long. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
You're listening to Hurley in the Morning.
Hey, Garber Township. I'm from Margate.
Listen at home or in the office on your smart speaker. Just say, play WPG.
Brigantine. Cape May. Galloway.
Hurley in the Morning on South Jersey's talk station. WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. 52 minutes past the hour, which means it's 14 minutes until Kilmeade. Let's make it count here in Bonus Open Forum. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. Glad you called in. You're on the air live. Hi there.
Good morning, Harry. It's Joe from Marmora.
Hey, Joe.
Listen, I just wanted to point out something to some of our listeners here. I'm sure you've picked up on this. But when Joe Biden goes in front of the cameras and cries and looks all pathetic and says, "Oh, I love my son," and you hear the violins playing and the little birds are singing and everything like that, just remember that his son is a bag man. He brought home millions of dollars from foreign countries,
which they spread around the entire family.
Exactly.
And the bank accounts prove it.
And the whole thing.
And by the way, that would always matter unless a corrupt media wants to protect one side.
Right.
Think about this. Could you imagine if Trump took millions of dollars from the mayor of Moscow's wife, and if he was taking millions of dollars from all these China, Ukraine, all these places? Could you imagine how aggressive the Democrat media would be all over that?
I think I can imagine that, yes.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, so the second part of this is it's a two-edged sword. While he's playing for sympathy, you know, and like I said, you hear the violins playing and everything like that, and oh, poor Hunter, he's just a drug addict. The second part of it.
Yeah, by the way, we're supposed to be proud of him. You see the game they play, right? Trump's a convicted felon, but we're supposed to be proud of Hunter. Because Joe is so proud of his son, and his son is the smartest man he's ever known. I mean, I'm so sick of these liars. It's really just impossible to take this stuff.
Well, because Hunter and Joe are basically joined at the hip with their business dealings, I Love My Son is also a threat. Like the prosecutor in Delaware that had to prosecute this case, with the gun.
Yeah, he didn't want to. Remember, he was going to give him a deal that no one's ever gotten before. But,
right.
But then he gets picked to be the actual special counsel after he was giving the sweetheart deal. This is so corrupt. It's so bad. And what he did was so obvious and unrecoverable. Even though they tried to rig the game, they couldn't even do that. They were bad at that.
Mm-hmm. But this also serves as a warning to any other prosecutor, any other government person that has thoughts about going after Hunter and or Joe. Hunter might not have any power, but I do. I'm the president, and I love my son, and if you mess with him, you mess with me.
Oh, I don't think there's any question about that. You could tell that special counsel was very nervous when he gave a public statement following the conviction. You had Fat Bragg just about doing Jack LaLanne jumping jacks. He was so happy. But you had David Weiss looked very timid and, was parsing the English language, not declaring any type of victory. So this has been a two-tiered system from Jump Street.
All right. Harry.
Good to talk to you.
Get on to your next one.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you for your permission. I accept it. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Thanks for taking my call, Harry. The 20 or so former intelligence directors that signed the letter.
Yeah, it wasn't 20. It was 51.
51, yes. Both sides of the aisle, appointees from many many of them were appointed by Republicans. That's an indication of the dirty tricks that you've referred to that are imminent if Trump's ahead in the polls, which he will be. And I don't know if it's going to be an escalation of war or a 911 type thing, but something drastic will happen, and those guys are willing to lie and put their reputations at stake on a forged fake document. They're certainly willing to resort to some of their other.
And each one of them should be criminally prosecuted for what they did because they interfered with an election. There's no doubt about it. And if they're that bad, then they need to lose their security clearance because they're that bad. The FBI, the DOJ, they have now certified. They presented it to a court of law and gained a conviction by the veracity of Hunter Biden's laptop. Biden's lie has collapsed. I cannot wait for Thursday night when Trump jams it either down somewhere or up somewhere. And I'll leave it up for all of you fine people to decide what does he mean by that statement. You're able to fill in the blanks. And they all should be prosecuted for what they did. And I think they will be after the 20th of January. They have to be, because that is a level of election interference and meddling that is flat out dangerous to the republic.
Paul Ryan had that document very early on and hid it. There are so many nefarious Republicans that will do anything to subvert Trump and Biden.
Well, let's be fair about this. It's mostly Democrats. You have Paul Ryan, you have Liz Cheney, you have Adam Kinzinger, you have Mitt Romney. I mean, and it's more than that. I know there's probably career people as well, but it is mostly Democrats. It's mostly Democrats and a small number of bad Republicans.
With razor-thin margins in the House and Senate, all you need is a small number of bad Republicans.
That's the truth. That's absolutely true. 100% what you just said.
So, and you got to believe to some degree they're compromised or they're making money in similar ways that the Biden syndicate has made money over the past year. So I just believe that a lot of them are standing down when it's so glaring.
Well, they stand down because, yes, it's true. Their bread is buttered by the Biden group. There's no doubt about it. Trump wins, they lose. They're irrelevant. They desperately want Biden to win. There's no doubt about that. I'm going to get 2 more calls in. We have 6 minutes. You will be today's last caller. Hang in there. And you are the next caller. Go right ahead.
Hey, Harry, today's my 57th wedding anniversary.
Well, let me tell you something. That is spectacular, my friend. And I know who this is. 57 years. I mean, think about it. You weren't 10 when you got married. So if you were 20, I mean, getting 57 years is spectacular, especially, as you know, when half of the marriages end in divorce. So let me tell you something. This is regardless of politics or agreement or disagreement on any issues. When people make a commitment and they keep it, that just garners all my respect. Congratulations.
Thank you. And I adopted one kid and had two of my own.
And I'm not going to catch you, but Margie and I will be 43 years this October 17th.
You won't catch me, but you'll make it.
I love it. I can't catch you. You got what is that? 57, 43. You got 14 years. It's impossible.
Right. Yeah, you're at the right age where you're doing. You're in good shape. Two beautiful people.
Thank you. Trying.
You persevere with marriage. Every day is not made in heaven, but you have to work at it. People don't do that.
You know what's so interesting, too, and I know that they talk about ups and downs and all these things, and we've had them, too. I've told stories. I sold my baseball card collection and my bicycles, to make it, 40-some years ago. You do what you have to do. But we never had a time where we were going to quit. Never.
Good. Well, God bless you, and God
Same to you.
Bless me. That's for sure.
Congratulations on 57 years. That's an incredible accomplishment. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the call, on the air, and because he went so brief, I'm going to get in Dan as well. Dan, you're going to end the program. Go right ahead, and please tell us it's a great day in the city of Brigantine, I'm sure.
It is. It's a glorious, oxyborious day in the city of Brigantine.
Is it a great day before the day before the day before a great debate?
Oh, yes, it is. And I'm looking forward to it. I've got my recliner all set up. I'm good to go.
I'll tell you what's just teasing me in the back of my mind, though. I'm thinking, what are Jake Tapper, fake, as Trump calls him, fake Tapper, and Dana Bash, Trump basher and fake Tapper, what are they going to conjure up to help Biden and try to crush Trump? I presume they're going to use, you're a convicted felon, 34 counts, you were found guilty by, a unanimous jury. You've condemned the process. Are you condemning the jury system? Do you think that the American people deserve a president who's a convicted felon? I think all these things are going to happen in between, crushing him on abortion and whatnot. I think that's sort of the way it's going to go. They're going to talk about all this nonsense and not about the terrible job that Joe Biden has done?
Well, Harry, President Trump has to remind fake Tapper about the time that he said that Joe Biden lied about the laptop. And it even ran a video of Biden lying at the debate about how it was Russian disinformation. And Jake Fake said that the president lied.
Oh, no, he did. He had, even what is it they say, like a broken clock is right twice a day. He had some moment of clarity, of honesty. They're also capable of not even bringing it up, like not even be one of the questions for an entire 90 minutes. That's how dishonest these people are. But Trump is good at that. Like if they don't bring it up, he'll say, hey, I just can't believe it. We're an hour into this thing, and you haven't brought up anything. And I think they're going to ask Biden. You know how the media now, both it's kind of clever, and most people don't pick up on it. They both ask him the question and help him answer it at the same time. Have you noticed?
Well, yeah, the question is asked in such a way that the answer is part of the question, so all he has to do is say yes or no.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Yep. I think they'll be doing some of that.
You may have mentioned this, I think it was you, but someone suggested that President Trump should ask Joe Biden when he brings up the convicted felon. He should say, that's true, Joe, but I still don't know what crime I was accused of.
Yeah, that's
Do you
me.
know?
Yeah. Do you know? Right, exactly. And he'll babble some kind of nonsense. Because remember, even Alvin Bragg said that Trump was found guilty of it had election interference. He wasn't found guilty of election interference. It was a business transaction that they say he was guilty of, and 34 times because there was 34 checks. He wasn't found guilty by that jury of election interference or any type of election violation. They simply lied. All right, Andy, more time next time. I promise we were going to get Dan in as well. Dan, you close the show. Go.
Well, they keep improve. One guy goes up, Colangelo, and the other guy goes down. The other guy goes up, David Weiss. David Weiss lets the thing run until the statute of limitations is over. And
correct.
That's the most important part of the case.
Correct.
And yet they
on purpose.
Yeah, and now Brad.
And by the way, if it wasn't on purpose, he's then incompetent. Either way, it's wrong.
Yeah, believe me, it was on purpose.
We know.
And Bragg, that's the jump the shark moment. Fonzie's on the board, and when Bragg let everybody go, and they held those people inside those buildings, and they smashed that stuff in Columbia University, and they threatened the Jews.
And he dropped all of those charges and actually tried to defend it by saying he didn't have enough video evidence and this and that. They had nothing but evidence. There's a ton of video evidence. They got him. Even the people wearing the masks. And remember, when they came out, they took the masks off. Law enforcement made them take the masks off. Not Fat Bragg, but law enforcement. Dan, the show is over, but I'm glad we got you in. More next time. Brian Kilmeade with a guest host and 24